Hey, good Monday morning. I am BKP from FetcherNews.com. Good morning from the office. We open up this morning tomorrow, Tuesday, here at Georgia's Election Day. We open up this morning immediately on the phone line with us as Secretary of State, also candidate for governor, Republican candidate Brian Kemp. Mr. Kemp, how are you this morning?
Hey, good morning. Great to be on with you guys. Beautiful day in the great state of Georgia.
Well, we know you're doing a fly around the state. We give you just a minute to tell us what you're doing today, a fly around the state. We appreciate you taking the time to get on the phone with us. Where all is the campaign headed today?
Well, just pulled in over at Peachtree DeKalb Airport, so we're going to do a little press conference here, get the day started. We'll hop on the plane, and we got stops in Macon, Augusta, Savannah, and Albany, and then we end up back in north of Atlanta, up in Kennesaw, up in Cobb County tonight. So it's going to be a busy day, but a good one. We're looking forward to really putting the final touches on talking to Georgians about our plan to put them first over the special interest, the status quo, the politically correct, and those that are here illegally, and talking, about my conservative 4-point plan to make Georgia number one for small business, fundamentally reform how state government spends, taxes, and operates. And as you guys know, make sure that we have all of our states or all of our areas, no matter what your zip code you live in, has the same opportunities as everyone else in the state, focusing on strengthening rural Georgia and then putting Georgians first. Real platform initiatives like tracking and deporting criminal illegals and stopping and dismantling the gangs that are in Georgia.
Okay, Mr. Kemp, I'm going to focus right today with all of our candidates on yesterday's debate that I watched. One of the questions actually said there's 38 to 39%, I forget the exact number, polled in Georgia that are moderate. And Casey Cagle, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, went first with his answer. And then you were second, and they were asking you what you would find as a moderate subject, topic, piece of legislation. And I think, quote, your answer was, no, I am an unapologetic conservative. And then you went on to your Georgia First and your 4-point plan. For that, I am not going to be apologetic. Can the voters of Georgia look forward to Brian Kemp maintaining a conservative campaign, runoff, general election, whatever it may be?
Well, look, that's what I believe Georgians are looking for. That's the basis of my whole campaign, is putting Georgians first ahead of those special interests and not moderating on the things that I've told Republican primary voters. And if they will make me their nominee, I will be glad to stand up and do exactly what I've told them I'd do over this last 14 months. I mean, that has been what I think is a clear difference in the candidates in the race, is I have a record that people can trust of saying what I'm going to do before I campaign, just like in the Secretary of State's office, to have secure, accessible, and fair elections. As you know, I sued the Obama Justice Department twice and won over our citizenship check when we register people to vote. I've stood up and fought to preserve our common sense photo ID law when we vote. And I've stood up against George Soros and Stacey Abrams and all these other left-leaning groups from all over the country when they've tried to attack and undermine our values in the state. And I'll do that as their governor as well. And the thing is, the 4-point plan, the liberals won't like it, but, conservative Georgians like it. But also, center right and center left people like it. I mean, who can disagree with making Georgia number one for small business and implementing a spending cap in Georgia so we budget conservatively and lower the state income tax?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Watching that debate, and I was just watching after Casey Cagle was asked that same question, conservative and moderate. You said, quote, I will answer the question for you. Were you implying that you didn't feel Casey Cagle clearly answered that question in the debate?
Well, I think he has a record of telling everybody everything they want to hear, and that's not what Republican primary voters want. They want somebody that's going to fight for our values, for our conservative agenda. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's why I answered the question. I mean, it's a very simple question. No, I'm not going to moderate on something there's plenty of issues that you can, and I feel like I can sell the conservative approach to people without being angry about it. And I've done that in the past, just like with the photo ID law. I mean, I've been in some very tough audiences that, basically have called me a voter suppressor, but I simply smile and laugh and stand up and go, that's just not true, because we now have online voter registration in our state. We have 800,000 more people on the rolls. And by the way, minority participation in Georgia has increased since the photo ID went in effect. And, people can fact check that, and it's just true. And so I'll be a person that can stand up and share that conservative message and bring people our way. I don't need to moderate on issues like others, at the debate are talking about last night.
Obviously polling shows you in second and closing in on Casey Cagle for the runoff. A political action committee, which we are told has close ties to Casey Cagle, we're not implying anything, we're just told that, has actually really come out with a very harsh, hard-hitting mailers concerning Hunter Hill, trying to bring Hunter Hill out of contention. Now I'm going to ask you directly, because I hear this. Why would the Casey Cagle campaign think, and this is what's out there, that it would be easier to run against a Brian Kemp than Hunter Hill?
Well, first of all, let me just say, how pitiful it is that, if that is the case, that he's using this dark, shady lobbyist money that he's got every single one of them that's ever done anything under the Gold Dome to support his campaign. And that's a clear difference between him and I, is I'm the, Georgia family, working Georgian back candidate in the race, having more donors, even though we've raised a lot less money than him. But it just shows that I'm not the special interest candidate. So I wouldn't really know what to say to the groups that are doing that. I can say that it's going to be my job to make that be a big mistake for him in the runoff. And if people will get me there, there'll be a great way for us to contrast our two records and talk about the future of our state and who's going to fight for them. And we look forward to that.
Between Williams, Tippins, and Hunter Hill, it was pretty easy to see yesterday that you were the number two that they would like to move in front of tomorrow. Clay Tippins actually, no other way to put it, attacked you. And I just put a sentence here talking about the security breaches of information. He claimed there was 2 as Secretary of State that gave out 7 million Social Security numbers of Georgia's and so on and so forth. You called it a bold-faced lie. You want to venture into that a little bit and explain to our viewers when this comes up again, and it will, the security breach that took place in the Secretary of State's office?
Well, it's like I said last night. We've never had a breach. We've never been hacked in the Secretary of State's office. We had an employee that sent out 12 disks that we immediately went and recovered and documented that no one's personal information got out. But when that happened, I acted like good leaders do when times are tough. I stood up and owned the situation, took responsibility. We fired the employee, fixed the problem, and made sure it never happened again. But, Mr. Tippins is not really telling the truth there when he talks about a breach, number one. This wasn't an Equifax situation where somebody hacked into our servers. That's never happened in the Secretary of State's office ever, and we fight that every day. But, it was interesting. He didn't really answer the question when I asked him about a breach that his company has had. He kind of dodged that, didn't take responsibility for it, even though for the last year he's talked about, running this business. So I'm not sure which is the case. But, I understand why the other guys were coming after me last night. We clearly have the momentum. Our polling numbers are moving that way. Our TV ads have really put the finishing touches on a great campaign for us, and those guys are great Republicans, and it's good for us to be battle tested for whoever gets in the runoff, and I'm planning on being one of those individuals, and I'll be ready to go to answer any question about my record, because I have a record of doing what I told people would do, standing up, being conservative, cutting our budget by over 25% at one point, losing almost 30% of our people, having zero-based budgeting, putting our budget and our expenses on our website, every month so people can see. That's real transparency. Those guys that have served in the legislature, you can't even get access to their information because it's exempt from public records. So, I'm looking forward to the record I got of fighting and winning for Georgians and talking to people about that in the runoff.
One more thing here, and I don't know what your campaign, what you have, what is your hard time you have to leave, Mr. Kemp. So just let us know. With the recent in Santa Fe, Texas, with the recent shooting, the disaster, tragedy of 10 high school students dead and several wounded. A lot in this campaign has been made on NRA, Second Amendment, but talk directly about, if you're governor of Georgia, school safety and how to protect our children in the state of Georgia from these kind of violent attacks.
Well, let me just say before we get to that part of the question, I'm very proud to have the support and endorsement of the most respected firearm and Second Amendment group in the state, Georgia Carry. So I was very pleased to get that. They've had more success at the Capitol over the last decade than anybody else that's been working on expanding our Second Amendment rights. So I'm glad to have their support. I'll be not only a supporter of the Second Amendment, but an advocate. And, that's just been who I've been through my career in the legislature, Secretary of State, and certainly as somebody that's protected my 3 daughters, which was pretty clear in our first television ad. But as far as school safety, look, I think we need to have local control, and not just in school safety and a lot of educational matters. We have gotten away from letting the local communities, the parents, the local school boards, our administrators and our local teachers teach our children. We're trying to mandate them. We hate federal mandates, and then the state has continued to mandate, continue to put more testing on, and now our teachers are teaching the test and not teaching our children. So I'm for local control. I will work with any school system in the state on school security, but I think that starts at the local level with local law enforcement, and I know that's already being done. And we have some school systems that are voting to arm their teachers. And if that's something that they feel like is good in their community, I'll certainly support that. But I do think it needs to start at the local level. And I will be a governor that will advocate for that, but also be there if the locals come to me and say, hey, this is the kind of state support we need. If it's something that would be good, then I would obviously consider bringing state resources or the authority of state government to do that.
I understand you're saying local control, and I respect and appreciate that. And in fact, the county just north of us where we're broadcasting this morning became the second county in the state to allow a program to be put in place to arm teachers. That'd be Fannin County. And that
right.
and I actually attended that meeting and listened to them vote on that. But you would make school safety as a priority within your administration for our children. That would be a high priority as governor, school safety and how to protect our children.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got a clear record of doing that when I was in the legislature. A lot of people don't remember that I chaired the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee when the Brian Nichols killed that judge in Fulton County, and I worked with the Sheriff's Association, local law enforcement, local governments, to figure out ways for us to better protect our county courthouses all across all 159 counties. And it's the same type issue because the Fulton County courthouse is a lot different than the Clark County where I live, or the Oconee County where I used to represent, or the, Eccles County, which is a tiny rural county down in, on the Florida line. So, I've got the experience of being a leader on those issues and working with people to find good solutions, and that certainly would be a priority as governor.
Okay, let's end with this because I know you got to get on an airplane and fly around the state today. President Donald Trump was very successful with an America First campaign, and your campaign is Georgia First. That's what you continue to say, Georgia First. Give us, just wrap us up real quick on what does Brian Kemp's Georgia First, what does that mean?
Well, I think a good example of that is just my record of fighting and winning, not being scared to take on the Obama Justice Department, for our citizenship check and going to court and winning, doing the same thing with Stacey Abrams and the New Georgia Project, standing up against the George Soros funded groups. But also think it's right in line with what President Trump's been doing. You know, he got ridiculed the other day about, you know, calling the MS-13 gang people animals. And, you know, he's doing the same things that I'm going to be doing as governor in a lot of ways. I mean, not just talking about it, but actually doing something about it. And we've got a plan to track and deport criminal illegals and to go after and stop and dismantle gangs in our state. And that, you know, when you have federal prosecutors that Donald Trump appointed saying that Georgia has become a distribution hub to the Mexican drug cartel, it's time to do something about it. And I'm going to do that as a father of 3 teenage daughters, and as you know, I've been doing as Secretary of State, and as I want to do as governor, and that's to fight to keep our families safe, to have a good environment in Georgia where we're the #1 state in the country for small business, and that will be my priority. And if folks will help and help me get there and get out and vote for us tomorrow and get your family and friends out, you know, I'd be grateful, and I promise I won't let you down.
You support the President of the United States?
Absolutely, I support him. I'm proud of the work he's doing, and you know, he doesn't let the left get him off his game. He's actually doing what he told the American people we would do, and you see that in our economy. You see that, you know, just this morning where they worked out something with China. So he got a lot of criticism for, you know, the trades and the tariffs and all, but he's, you know, that looks like that's going to work out well, and he's not scared to go after gangs and talk about building the wall and getting tough on, you know, these criminal illegals that are in our country.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp. We appreciate it, and we wish you well on the campaign trail. We know you got a busy day on this last day. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us.
All right. God bless, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, it's Brian Kemp, your Secretary of State, Governor, Republican candidate for governor. Brian Kemp is polling second right now, according to an Insider Advantage poll late last week. The one we told you about that was coming late last week. He is polling very close, actually, in a lot of ways to Casey Cagle. We're going to take a brief break. We're opening up. Today is Candidate Day. It's the last day here in Georgia, so we're talking about it. It's getting a lot of national news. This is a governor's race that's gotten a lot of national news. And we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have a couple minutes before we get on the line with who is our next expected guest. We're supposed to have Hunter Hill at 8:30. Okay, we're going to take a brief break. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about this race before our next candidate comes on. Take a break.
Tracy Jordan, Republican candidate for Georgia Insurance Commissioner, ask for your vote. Tracy has her priorities straight. Auto insurance providers should no longer be allowed to raise their rates without approval from Georgia's insurance commissioner. Health insurance providers will reimburse claims within 30 days or be fined. Georgians will finally be able to count on an insurance commissioner who fights for them instead of the insurance industry. Vote for the true conservative candidate, Tracy Jordan, a voice for Georgians.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. This morning is the last day before Election Day here at Tuesday. Tomorrow, you'll be going to the poll for your local commissioner races, Board of Education races, whatever may be in your county and your district, state house races, state senate, congressional races all around the state, lieutenant governor, insurance commissioner, public service commissioner, secretary of state, and governor of Georgia. It's a big day tomorrow. We're spending some time this morning talking to, I think we have 5 candidates set up. So our next candidate will be Hunter Hill. Now, as soon as Mr. Hill calls in, you will see our show card. We're not going to commercial. Don't go anywhere. 15 seconds just to set up his audio and come right back. We're going to talk to Hunter Hill about these right here. Are your mailboxes full of what's called the dark money? the dark money that's gone after Hunter Hill. Now, I do want you to know FetcherNews.com, our Facebook page, and our timeline, our Facebook page and timeline, and FYN TV Facebook pages. Find FYN TV, Fetcher News, Facebook page. We put a couple questions out this morning. Who will be in the runoff, Brian Kemp or Hunter Hill? The only reason we asked that question that way is because those are the two polling right after Casey Cagle on the latest Insider Advantage poll. Okay, but then we did also ask the question, do you think Michael Williams, now what you may say is, well, why did we not ask about Clay Tippins? Clay Tippins is not, and I apologize, we're not knocking, well, we're not going to just come out against the guy, but he's not been friendly at all to this network. And what I always say to all the candidates, when you don't talk to us, you're not talking to BKP, you're not, ignoring Amanda, you're ignoring the voters, okay? And you see immediately Brian Kemp, now Casey Cagle's campaign did send us a message that their fly-around schedule would not fit in, that they had their schedule actually coincided with us being on the air, and they apologized. It's my understanding. They said that they did acknowledge that they have a fly-around, right, Amanda, and wouldn't be able to do it, and it conflicted with their campaign today.
Yes, he did get right back with me too.
Right, so we know these candidates have statewide campaigns. So Cagle's campaign has communicated with the show. Brian Kemp's campaign, anytime we call Hunter Hill or Michael Williams, obviously they come right on. But Clay Tippins, the reason we did not put him on any of our Facebook questions today, he has not been friendly to the show. And just to be redundant, I just told you, he's not ignoring me, he's not ignoring Amanda, he's ignoring you. Brian Kemp comes on and respects not me here, you, the viewers out there that watch this show, and so on with Hunter Hill and Michael Williams. Now, we did ask on our Facebook page this morning, we're focused on Georgia. We know there's so much national news, and we know the other people are going to cover it, and we defer to Rush Limbaugh and other people today that will cover all the national events, and we're just going to have to do that here. But today is Georgia final day. Now, I asked the question, do you think Michael Williams will make it to the runoff? And we've gotten several answers on that. But one answer was interesting, because this is the question I'm asking is, who's going to get the votes? And Nathaniel Colton put on our Facebook page, Nathaniel Colton said, I don't know, but I'm still voting for him. So he's going to vote for Michael Williams and will vote for Kemp in the runoff. Not a chance in hell I would vote for Casey Cagle now or in the general election. So is that something that's going to be popular if Casey Cagle gets in, that these kind of voters are saying, I wouldn't vote for Casey Cagle now or the general election? Will there be the stay home? So there's going to be a whole lot of questions there when that takes place. All right. Just let me know. Are we not? Are we expecting his campaign? Did they confirm Friday? Okay. So we're waiting right now to hear from Hunter Hill's campaign for them to call. They did confirm Friday that they wanted the 8:30 time slot. Now, last night in the debate, the reason I brought it up is they asked and this is where moderators frustrate me, they asked all the candidates, okay? They asked all the candidates about a moderate view. And, they asked them about a moderate view. They said, polling shows Georgia is 38 to 39% moderate, okay? What would be something that you would consider yourself as a moderate? And it was interesting, all the answers, okay, that happened. But the one question that just frustrates me, and this is why I love to moderate debates because I can't stand a question like this. They were asked, what is more important, economic development or RIFA? Okay? All right. Okay, we're on with our second guest of the morning, another candidate for Republican primary Georgia governor, Mr. Hunter Hill. Mr. Hill, how are you this morning?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing great. Appreciate being on your show.
Well, thank you for coming on, and we want to thank you. We want to just say to you, because I just was talking about it, thank you for respecting the viewers. Some candidates that don't come on miss the fact that they're not disrespecting me or my producer. They're disrespecting the voters. So don't take that wrong, but I appreciate your wanting to talk to the voters. Let me come right out with this, Mr. Hill, and I did watch the debate yesterday, but I want to start with what the dark money, as I call it. Now, for some reason, my mailbox, and you can't see these at home, but my mailbox is full of these couple pieces here that are really attacking you. And who is this group coming after you, and why are they so afraid of you running against Casey Cagle? Are you aware that this political action committee maybe friends Cagle's campaign, or what?
So here's the deal. It's not even a political action committee. It's Casey Cagle's campaign. And so Casey made the determination, obviously, that he does not want to be in a runoff against me. He wants to be in a runoff against Brian Kemp. And so if you'd observe the debates and if you've seen your mailbox, there's no attacks at all against Brian Kemp. There's only attacks against me because he would prefer to go against Brian because he deems Brian a weaker candidate to beat in the runoff. So, Cagle has $7 million and he spent $5 million of that money on himself, promoting himself, and about $1 million beating us up. And my hope is the voters won't trust it.
All right, because this is coming from 3101 Buckeye Road, Suite 800, Atlanta, and this second one's coming from the same place. This is Casey Cagle's campaign. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's his headquarters.
That's his headquarters. That's where it's coming from. Okay.
And also, he came out attacking me with those same attacks that are on that mail piece, and those same attacks are also on a radio spot here in Atlanta on AM 750 with the same thing that are from his campaign. So, he's trying to make me seem weak on the very issues that we are very strong on.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance to answer these, because these are running around the state, as you well know, and stuffed in the mailboxes. I have them here. But, on the face of your website, I went to it last night just to refresh myself, and you do have Ted Cruz endorses you, and it says click here to continue. And many Trump supporters don't feel that Ted Cruz has yet to this day truly endorsed the president. What is the claim that you said Trump would be better than Obama? Would you like to really make a strong stand on if you support the president and if any of these accusations on these flyers are true?
Yeah, let's hit the Trump issue first. I'm a strong supporter of Donald Trump and have been from the beginning, and this is important for people to understand. I endorsed Ted Cruz in the presidential election. So the Facebook post that he's talking about is very simple. It was in the fall of 2015, and I asked voters to consider the things that people say during elections. They should take it with mixing the entire record of their life. And what I was basically saying is Obama, we all knew, was a horrible liberal, but he campaigned as a moderate in 2008, tricked the voters, and won. And what I was saying in the fall of 15 was Donald Trump had been pro-choice. He'd been adamantly pro-choice. He had been all these things. And all I was saying is we need to make sure that you don't just listen to people during the campaign, but you look at their record and their history. That's all the Facebook post said. I did not say Trump would be as bad as Obama. That's a freaking lie. What I said was that we need to look at the person's entire life, not just what they're saying during the campaign, because the last time we didn't look at the entire life and we listened only to the campaign, we got Barack Obama. So I endorsed Ted Cruz in the presidential election. But then one more thing, Brian, this is very important. I endorsed Donald Trump in a district that Hillary won, that Hillary had won 56-39. I won re-election in my district, but my point is my district was moderate, but I still endorsed Donald Trump, even knowing that it was going to be potentially electorally detrimental to me, but I did it because it was the right thing to do, and I passionately believed that a Donald Trump presidency would help save the country and a Hillary Clinton presidency would ruin the country. So I endorsed Donald Trump publicly in the fall of 16. And on Ted Cruz has already endorsed Donald Trump's 2020 election.
Okay, I did want to give you an opportunity because these are solid. Well, I don't want to say solid. Sorry for poor choice of word. These are very large, big attacks that a lot of money has come out against you, and there must be some reason they don't want to run against you, Mr. Hill, and that's obvious. Saying that these came from the Cagle campaign, Brian Kemp, every candidate got a chance to ask a question, and Brian Kemp asked you a question last night that I'm not going to say you did not answer, okay? So I don't want to imply you did not answer, but I do want to, I guess, a better answer or a more direct, okay? He said, what was it like to serve under Casey Cagle in the Senate? So this guy right here that you say his campaign has sent out these hit pieces does not want to run against you. What happened in the Senate? What is it he knows about you that he doesn't want to run against? Or what is it you know about him? So let me ask that question again for me that Kemp asked you. What was it like to serve with Cagle in the Senate?
Well, what I said, I thought I did answer the question.
No disrespect. I don't take that wrong. I'm not implying you didn't, but I want to more direct.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to do it again. I mean, bottom line is this, to be very simple. Weak, tepid leadership or lack of leadership, and weak on ideology, weak on the things that we care about. You know, unsuccessful in pushing through religious liberty for a second time. Unsuccessful in lowering taxes. In fact, he raised taxes on House Bill 170. It was the largest tax increase in Georgia history. I voted against it. So he did not cut the budget. He did not look for ways to make it a more limited and focused government. So I was just uninspired by the lack of leadership and the lack of vision, and that's why I decided to run against him. But specifically, what was it like is experiencing, if the listeners have ever been in an organization where the leadership was weak, then it's not a fun place to work because, you know, you're not inspired on a daily basis to follow weak and tepid leadership. So that's why I said, look, if this is supposed to be the next governor of Georgia, then I have something to say about that. And I wanted to cast a strong, conservative, and bold vision. If I had been inspired by Casey Cagle, I would have gotten behind him and endorsed him. And that's why I got behind David Perdue, because I was inspired by his leadership and his vision. And so I was the first elected official in Georgia to endorse David Perdue.
Okay, eliminating Georgia state income tax. You say over 7 years. Let me set this up, and then you can take off with it. Casey Cagle implied, and I don't have a quote, but he implied that you're eliminating the state income tax would double sales tax. Double sales tax on senior citizens and certain groups, but it would be good for your Buckhead friends. But it would senior citizens and I forget the other group he put in there. But you said this is a complete lie, and explain what he asked you and what you called a complete lie, and tell us how your tax. You said something about a rebate or a prebate for seniors. So explain that to us and why you feel the question he asked was a complete lie, or accusation he made.
He made accusations that are not in line with our plan. So he was taking all of the fears around elimination of the income tax and leveling them against our plan. But we know to eliminate the income tax, I've got to get this thing through the legislature. And we knew that many of the areas that he brought up would not pass muster. And so we left them out. We're not going to raise taxes on seniors. We're not going to raise taxes on those that are less fortunate, that are not bringing in high incomes. But here's the thing here's what we are going to do. We are going to expand the base of taxation, which means more people would pay in. And what that allows you to do when you have broader base, you're able to bring in the same amount of money with lower rates. It's the same thing. It's a math problem, of course. And if you have 10 people giving $1 each, or if you have 20 people giving 50 cents each, that's the same amount of money. So the point is that we have a broad base of consumption, but on seniors that are currently not paying income tax already, we have a prebate. Just like in the fair tax plan, there's a prebate. So the amount that we're raising taxes on consumption, we're actually going to go ahead and give that back to seniors and those on a fixed income that aren't currently paying income tax in Georgia. So that's our plan. Now, why is this a benefit? Why do we need to do this? When investors and people that create jobs and upward economic mobility for a community, for a state, they're going to move to places where their capital and investment is treated the best. And in Tennessee, there is no income tax. So if I want to create economic development in North Georgia and in that part of the country, I would much prefer at this point to start my business in Tennessee instead of North Georgia. Same thing in South Georgia. I would rather start my business in Florida than in South Georgia. So it has an economic drag, our current system, if we don't address the fact that we're one of the highest income tax states in the country and that we are bordered with 2 states that don't have an income tax.
He continued to argue that, to say that we are the lowest tax, Georgia, and what I think voters get confused about, Mr. Hill, even with your campaign and his or whatever, is we can all go to different magazines and somehow find different statistics, and that's confusing.
Well, this is important. Let me help you with this one, because
okay,
he's right in saying that we are the lowest per capita tax state in the country. But listen to how they do the math, the tax foundation. They take in the total revenues that are coming in from the state, and then they divide it by the people in the state. Well, if people are not paying taxes, they're still included in that number, in the, to sound a little wonkish, in the denominator. They're in the one that's being divided by. But what I want to do is spread that out over a broader base. Okay, so everybody's paying less. Okay, instead of making only the job creators and the people that are driving the economy up, they're paying the lion's share of all that taxes in a high income tax situation.
Okay, Mr. Hill, I appreciate it. We're trying to give every candidate about 15 minutes. Go ahead and take a minute if you want to close and tell us about how you're wrapping up your campaign today in Georgia. So I've got to move on to another candidate, sir.
I completely understand. Listen, we want to fight for the conservative values and principles that made our country the greatest in the world. I'm the limited government governor that's going to eliminate the income tax, elevate K-12 education, and really cut the wasteful spending so that we can focus on the core competencies of government and start to deliver results for taxpayers. To be very quick, I'm a taxpayer champion and want to do what's best for the taxpayer. The other candidates in the race are more traditional Republicans. They're more moderate than I am in that way. We have to address long-term entitlement spending in this country, and I'm going to be the conservative that takes that fight to the establishment so we can drain the swamp here in Georgia and move our state forward. Brian, thank you for the opportunity
Thank you.
to
Yes, I'm
speak
sorry.
to your listeners.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. We appreciate it. We know you got a busy day, so we wish you well. Thank you very much. Okay,
And VoteHunterHill.com.
Okay, we've been talking with Republican candidate also for Governor Hunter Hill. We're going to take just do we have our next candidate? Okay, we're going to take, just hang tight, go to the card, let me check audio with our next candidate. Don't go anywhere, 10 seconds. Plug me in. Folks, we're trying to stay on schedule this morning, and we're sorry we're about 4 minutes late, but we're now joined Republican candidate for Georgia Governor, Michael Williams. Mr. Williams, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
Let me say now, this is my comment, obviously, and last week, 2 days before the launch, I said, I was talking about the campaign, and I said, Michael Williams needs to throw a Hail Mary pass. I did. I mean, Amanda will tell you. I said, we were talking to all the candidates and where everybody stood, and I said, Mr. Williams needs to throw a Hail Mary pass. I think you threw one with the deportation buses, as we well know. Somebody's got to catch it in the end zone. So how did that affect the campaign, the deportation bus? We did see some of the reaction you got at some of your stops. And how did that affect the campaign? And did that actually get more people to look at your overall campaign?
Well, the deportation bus, that was just another example of how I am willing to take on the tough issues and not back down from the liberals and the progressives out there that try to bully us into silence. I was out there protesting the teacher in Cherokee County whenever she kicked out 2 of her students for a Make America Great Again shirt. I was out there defending our Second Amendments when Nancy Pelosi was trying to infringe upon them. So this is just another one of the ways that I am showing people that I will actually stand up and fight. Where all the other candidates, they've got great talking points. They know all the right things to say, but at the end of the day, are they really going to do what they say they're going to do? And what we've seen time and time again is these candidates that get funded by the lobbyists, the special interest, the buckhead crowd, they always cave to them. And I am self-funding my own campaign, relying upon the hard-working people of Georgia to carry me across this finish line. And we feel really, really good about where we are going into the last day before elections. So we just need all of our supporters to go out there, to bring 5 or 10 of their friends and show up tomorrow to vote.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, you in the Insider Advantage poll late last week, you are polling number 5 out of the candidates. Do you think that polling obviously is accurate, or do you think it's inaccurate enough and there's enough undecideds that are still looking at your campaign and you feel good about tomorrow?
Correct. There's a couple different things going on. One, polling is so off now. I think it was the Associated Press came out last week or the week before that was talking about how they're just not even going to rely on polling anymore because it's so bad. And even if you do want to look at polling, I don't know if it was the Insider Advantage or 11 Alive one, but it was last week, and there were still 27% of the people undecided. After all of the millions, $10+ million of the other candidates that spent on advertising, a quarter of the population was still undecided because what the candidates are offering people are not what they want. They can see through the rhetoric. They can see through that all it is talk. They want somebody that's willing to actually put a bunch of action behind that talk, and that's what we've been doing this entire campaign.
Okay, yesterday in the debate, you were asked specifically why a deportation bus when the state of Georgia actually does not have the authority to deport illegals. Now, you responded to the 287G program, which I have pulled up here, and I'm aware of the 287G program. But explain your answer, because you only had like 30 seconds. So, a deportation bus, you got a lot of criticism. Hey, why are you doing this? Because as governor, you would not have authority as the state to deport anybody, and you use 287G. So would you like to expand on that answer here?
Yeah, definitely. The 287G program, first of all, there's only 6 counties in the state that actually implement the 287G program. As governor, I would push for all 159 to become compliant with that. And what it does is a sheriff can have a couple of his sheriff's deputies become certified and get the authority of an ICE agent. So he would have on his staff an acting ICE agent. They'll go through the training, the certification process, so that once they identify somebody that is in this country illegal, breaking yet another crime, they can then begin the deportation process immediately. As we've been traveling around the state, bringing light to this program, talking to people about it, I've had some people opposing it, saying, well, Michael, this is why do you want to put that burden upon the small counties, the small cities? We might not have the staffing to do that. How are you going to make us deport all these people? Well, that's where the state can come in as well and help with the funding and all that, so that they give them the funds and the means needed to accomplish that. In addition to that, if they're not in our jail cells, we're not having to feed them. We're not having to pay for health care. We need to get them out of our country so our taxpaying dollars don't have to provide for the livelihood of these people that are in our country illegally and yet committing additional crimes.
Well, Mr. Williams, I will say myself, that's where I get disappointed in some of these debates, because I don't think you should ever ask a question you don't know the answer to. And I was disappointed in that question when you were asked, why would you be doing something or making an accusation that the state cannot enforce? And I will say this, since President Donald Trump, since he became president, Donald Trump, the 287G program is full steam ahead, and he unleashed that. And for those that don't know this, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they're allowed, ICE works closely with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners in this mission. The program, one of the ICE top partnership, innovates, allows a state or local enforcement entity to enter into a partnership with ICE under a joint memorandum of agreement in order to receive delegated authority for immigration enforcement within their jurisdiction. So all due respect, I don't come on here just to see if I can agree with a candidate, but it's frustrating when someone that's moderating or someone that's asking questions tries to set a candidate up knowing that 287G does give local law enforcement an opportunity to partner with ICE to enforce immigration law. So I'm sorry, you're supposed to be doing the talking.
Well, no, I appreciate that. It's not every day you get somebody in the media that supports what we're trying to do. So I I
Don't
appreciate
get that
that.
wrong. I didn't say support what you're trying to do. No.
Well, the 287G program.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. But no, I mean, it doesn't matter who. That's the way I am, Mr. Williams. It doesn't matter who's on the phone. We agree or disagree. But if you're going to bring something up, the deportation bus, I got a lot of heat. Let me ask you this, because I want to get more into your actual campaign. What say you if I'm a critic and I say, well, Casey Cagle comes out and he lays out his plan, and candidate Brian Kemp has his 4-point plan, and Hunter Hill has his plan, but Michael Williams throws out, I supported Trump when nobody else did, and I'm the true conservative, and we've not really heard a solid plan if Michael Williams is governor. So take a minute for the voters, and what is the Michael Williams' plan as the next governor of Georgia if the people elect you?
Well, sure. One, it's to eliminate the state income tax, and I know there's another candidate that talks about that, but his plan is to transition all of it over to sales tax. Well, I am definitely a supporter of the fair tax, which is a consumption-based tax. There's also multiple ways that we need to reduce the burden that is placed on sales tax, and in addition to the consumption-based tax. One is expanding industry. I support offshore drilling. I want to protect our beaches. I want to protect our coastline. They're absolutely beautiful, but we can do the same. And one of the reasons Texas doesn't have an income tax is because they're oil and gas industry. We need to do the same here in Georgia. The solar industry as well. We can bring that and become a leader in the solar energy as well as hemp. There is a humongous need in our country for hemp, and right now Kentucky has embraced the hemp industry, and that industry is thriving in Kentucky. We can do the same here in Georgia. So we want to eliminate state income tax, expand industry, and then also eliminate the waste. I talk about being a certified public accountant because I am uniquely qualified to identify the billions of dollars that are wasted in our government just because of inefficiencies and lack of control and accountability. Also, I want to bring transparency to our government. Whenever you look up ethics in Georgia or transparency in Georgia, we are always at the very bottom with an F or a D minus. One of the things that has really frustrated me, as well as most of the people in this country, is we have a government that is not beholden to the people. They're beholden to the special interest of lobbyists and those that finance their campaigns. That's been another key aspect of my candidacy, is that I am primarily self-funding my campaign so that I can actually represent the people of Georgia. Education. I've been out there talking a lot about education, about how right now parents do not have control of their children's education. It's the accreditation boards. In our law, it actually states that the Board of Education members in our local counties and school districts, they don't represent the people. They represent the interest of the board, particularly in maintaining accreditation, which means the accreditation boards control our education. I want to eliminate Common Core and put education back in the hands of parents. We hear all the time about how Georgia's the #1 state in the country to do business. Well, that's not necessarily true unless you're a big business getting tax credits. I want to get rid of all these job-killing regulations that are out there. I talk to thousands of small business owners across the state who have either given up because of the red tape or are thinking about it just because it's so hard to get a small business up and running. So we need to put people at the center of our government, eliminate the state income tax, deport illegals, put education back in the hands of the parents, and make Georgia the best state in the country for small business to do business, not just big business.
All right, Mr. Williams, I wanted to make sure, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. It's like I tell everybody, when you come on, you're respecting our viewers and the voters. I want our focus today as the voters to get to hear the candidates. About a minute here I have left, or 30 seconds. What's on the campaign list today as the final day of campaigning for Michael Williams?
We have several stops with our deportation bus all over South Georgia. We're going to end up in Valdosta at about 7:30 and wind up back at home tonight about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But I just want to ask everybody to make sure you go vote tomorrow. Vote for Michael Williams and bring 5-10 of your friends, and we'll have a great celebration tomorrow as we make it to the runoff.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We wish you well today, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, as Michael Williams, also a Republican primary candidate for the state of Georgia. We're going to take a break. We're going to shift gears. Okay, again, Casey Cagle's campaign did respond to our request. They're doing a fly around, and their fly around is not conducive with our schedule for the first this morning, so they did respond. Clay Tippin's campaign didn't even give a squat response, not even a hi, sorry, can't make it. Okay, and I am very firm that these candidates are not disrespecting me. I don't give a rat's, okay? And they're not disrespecting our producer Amanda. They're disrespecting you, the viewers, the voters, when they just don't even respond. So at least if you respond and there is a conflicting schedule, we'll put it up. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Georgia State House District 7 candidate, Republican primary candidate Margaret Williamson. She is in studio. And then right after our interview with Ms. Williamson, we're going to be having Josh McCoon. Josh McCoon is running for Secretary of State. He will be with us to wrap up. So we got 2 more candidates. Don't leave. Right back after these commercials. Take us to break.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Yellow pollen means green cash at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. The spring savings event is on at Days, and the discounts are deep. Now save up to $11,000 off select new 2018 Chevy Silverados, or up to $6,000 off select new 2018 Equinox. Pick any Chevy you want and save a bunch during the spring savings event going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hey, and we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and it's now time for us to switch gears, go to another political race, and that's the Georgia State House District 7. And I have with me now, joining me, Republican primary candidate Margaret Williamson. Margaret, how are you?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you today?
Good. You know, I had you on when the campaign first launched, and this is your second appearance. Wanted to get you back on. So let's start into, you were here immediately after qualifying. We had you in here, I think, the next week. You've been out there for the last 10 weeks, almost 100 days, campaigning day to day. Tell us a little bit about what you have found that maybe was new to you, or you were exposed to, or you see a little differently since starting the campaign to now in this district.
Well, I think when I first came, January 12th was when I started this journey. So it's been 4 months and some. So it's been exciting, and it's been very eye-opening, as you say. It's kind of been a dynamic campaign. As you go out into the community, it really opens your eyes to a lot of needs. I was aware of poverty. I never understood or realized the level. 40% of the district lives under the poverty level, state poverty level. And some people argue that, but that's the figure that I have come up with just in my conversations. I've become aware of the challenges families have with mental illness. And, it's Wall Street Journal had an article on it. Times had an article on mental illness, and I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm seeing moms that are just grieving over the loss of a child to suicide. And I'm looking at all of this and I'm saying, why? We talk about it all the time, but where does that go? We can't just talk about it anymore, Brian. There's a real need. And I also discovered in looking at mental illness, and by the way, I have a great article that was published in the Fan and Sentinel about mental illness that you can go and look at. But back some time ago, George Bush signed into law that insurance companies that provide health care insurance, there is supposed to be a parity between what they cover in surgical and physical health care and mental. And that's not being enforced. So I would certainly work on having legislation that would bring these insurance companies up to speed on what they would cover. So I also found out that there are a number of industries here that are suffering because they don't have the skill sets necessary. I spoke to a home builder, and he's retiring, and I said, well, why? You're still young. And he says, yeah, but all my workers, my crew, they're getting older and they're retiring and I have no replacements. I also discovered some challenges that the agricultural community has. And, they sustained our economy during the Great Recession. And now we need to be doing a little bit more in the way of helping them and getting government out of the way in what they're doing. So you've got the chicken growers, the vineyards, the cattle raisers, and what am I missing? Apple orchards. So I was surprised too to find out that a number of the apple orchards are bringing in their apples. They're not growing them anymore. Now there are some that still do, and I applaud them for that. But it's become difficult.
Okay, well, going around the region here, the District 7, for the last couple months, what do you feel? Do you feel today when you set out, and I say this because not only you will understand this, but you'll understand the day you went down to the Capitol to qualify to run for this office.
Right.
And today, do you still have that same passion for why you went to the Capitol that day?
I am.
Is it more?
I am more convicted to really do something for this district, not just to show up for a photo op or to bring a little gift, but actually to be out there talking to the people and finding out what the real needs are, and then seeing solutions. And, you know, many of those solutions have already been introduced at the state capitol, but they don't go anywhere. Reducing state income tax, not just reducing it, getting rid of it altogether. That would stimulate the economy. That would give people their money, let them keep their money to spend on the things that they want to, or save it, invest in their children's education. I see education. We spend over $13 billion a year, but we're not getting the outcome for that money. I'd like to see a forensic audit of the Department of Education, find out where that money is being spent. And I don't object to the money being spent, but I just want it spent wisely. And there are a number of legislators that also feel that way. A lot of people ask me about gun rights. That's a big thing here in the district. And I support constitutional carry. I do have, I'm a member of the NRA, a member of GGO, and I do have a license to carry. And so that's a constitutional right. And other constitutional rights like freedom of religion, well, I already mentioned constitutional rights. Those are very important to the people up here. Let's see, what else would, and then again, bringing in jobs, companies that will pay a salary that would sustain a family. I said, there's so much poverty here, but we could bring in manufacturing groups, but we have to provide a skill set. And I'm showing my age because I remember back to vocational institutes where you actually, students that weren't college bound, but they came out of high school with a skill set that then they could go into a manufacturing company, and they could work as an apprentice, move up, get a better salary, and stay here in the district, not have to go further afield. So I already, there's a couple here. One that does plastic extrusion to make grill work. He would love to have students to come there that he could work into an apprenticeship program. We have students that are going into the technical colleges and they're not prepared. It's not the fault of the teachers. The curriculum needs to be expanded in the vocational wing of the high schools. I talked to an instructor at Chattahoochee Tech, and he says the ones that are coming in, or some of the ones that are coming in anyways, to be a medical technologist, whether it's x-ray, ultrasound, they're not prepared for anatomy and physiology, and even some chemistry if they didn't take that. And those are all necessary when you are studying to be one of these medical technologists. And we could expand to include that. Let's give the kids a fair chance. We provide the opportunity, we educate them for their future. And we need to remove that stigma that everybody has to go to college, and if you don't, you're somehow a failure. And now we find too that a lot of kids are going into the military because they don't see a place for themselves.
All right, let me ask you a question. All right, you put a lot of things out there, so let's work on a couple of them.
Okay.
Kids, their future, their opportunities for education, and let me put a couple things out. I say, and I don't want the viewers to misunderstand. If you know me out there, sometimes when I say I agree, no matter what candidate is sitting in the room, if I agree with something, I agree with it. I do think we're at a time where not every kid has to go to a 4-year state or college for that 4-year degree. There's a lot of very well-paying jobs in the trade that we're back to a time where actually a good high school diploma can get you a job again.
Right.
Okay, when it used to could, and then we went through the phase everybody had to go to college. Where I'm going with that is, so what you're saying is, now I'm going to say Lanier Tech, I think I'm right, and just last week I was somewhere where I heard Governor Deal say that Lanier Tech has identified 17 jobs, if I remember right, 17 jobs that are needed immediately in the state. And if you as a student apply, for to go to school, and you'll study one of those 17 jobs as needed, the technical school is free to you. Now, that's what I was told. Then, recently, we got a grant for a standalone, and with Dalton State College and North Georgia, UNG, North Georgia, dual enrollment. Are those things not progressing that you just talked about in a positive way with the state right now?
Yes, they are, but not fast enough. And why did it take them so long to realize this? We've had so much unemployment. Wouldn't it have been an idea to get started on that back during, maybe 10 years ago? You talk about North Georgia College, the new North Georgia College. That is great, but I've heard it expressed that this might affect Dalton College here. The enrollment is down. So are we possibly going to lose the college here because of the North Georgia College up in Fannin County? I mean, that's just speculation and based on some comments that were made to me. I agree with you. We need to isolate those. We need to talk, we need to be developing that economy by bringing in these businesses, and we can find out what their needs are and adapt our school to that. Would work with the county commissioners in that. But the county commissioners are strapped in a lot of things that they want to do here too. And with that $4 million debt, I've had to adjust it down now, $4 million debt that we have in the county. Fannin County is doing well, but we have that $4 million debt that's going to go on until 2032. Now, David Ralston has done a lot of good things for the county, but this I lay at his feet, the responsibility for this debt, by having a bill passed that created a building authority that had unlimited power that bought Gilmer County $98 million of debt. What could we do if we weren't paying that $4.4 million every year until 2032?
So let me ask you this, because this is not an agree or disagree, because what you're doing is you're talking about the Gilmer County Building Authority, which was created, and I want to be clear, and you correct me where I'm wrong, but was created, and that then they were able to sell bonds, and they built a courthouse, and we ended up fire stations, so on and so forth, library. But the reality is we came close to $100 million, rounding up. We're not there, but we came close to $100 million in debt. Now, that being said, and you said you lay that at David Ralston's feet.
I do.
Okay, but every representative in the state, if you're a representative, are you going to tell your local constituents, your local governments, no? And here's what I mean by that, because all the representatives in the state or state senators, it is the protocol for them to carry the legislation. So let's just say a chairman says, hey, we have voted as a commission, we want to do some local legislation, we want to create a water authority, we want to create an airport authority, okay? So they call their representative, tell me where I'm wrong, and they say, this is what we want to do, and we would like for you to take that, because to get an actual authority, it needs to go through the legislation.
Right.
Okay. So, as representative, because you just laid that at the speaker's feet, as representative, if authorities or different authorities in the district you cover, if elected, what do you say when they call you up and say, we would like for you to carry this to the House for us?
Well, that's not a problem. As you say, there are a number of authorities, including the Water Authority. But there needs to be some kind of oversight. How did 3 people, how were they able to issue almost you said, how many was it?
Well, it was close to 100 million, but I don't want to get stuck because it wasn't 100 million.
Yes,
I'm just rounding up.
They went around the wishes of the people. The people had already voted and said they did not want that debt. And this is how they orchestrated it. And there was no transparency. We had no clue this was happening. None. And that's a problem. These things should be brought to the attention of the people in the district. They should know what they're going to be taking on.
So you would thoroughly, anyone in your district, any municipality, county or city that wanted you to carry a piece of legislation to the House, you would vet it thoroughly before?
I would vet it thoroughly, and I would make sure that there were parameters within that authority that they could not do something like was done to Gilmer County.
Not to quote you, but you did say you lay the debt of Gilmer County at David Ralston's feet?
I did. He was complicit in the plan.
Okay. Let me move to something else, because I think you've known me long enough and you've watched so many interviews and debates. I always say to somebody, if you're running, you have decided the other person should not have the job. And that's just simple. You've decided the reason people run is they say, hey, I'm not satisfied, or whatever, my words, and I don't think this person should have the job. Why do you not think David Ralston should have the job?
Because he's out of touch with the needs, the real needs of the people here in the district. Have you heard him? Well, actually, he has talked about mental illness. He's had numerous articles in the newspaper that we need to do something about it. Well, then why don't you do something about it? I mean, he says he's the second most powerful person in the state. Can't he do something about this? Why would he not force, or I hate to use the word force, but why not would he pass legislation that would encourage the health insurers to do what they're mandated to do by a federal law? Signed a law by George Bush. That's a number of years ago. Why is that not being enforced? Do we have to pass a mirror bill here in the state of Georgia? Would work with we'll have to work now with a new tax commissioner, but this is something that could have been done. The poverty level. Why are we at 40% of the people in the district, and that includes Fannin County, that are under at 40% of the population is under the state poverty level?
Well, why are they? Let me ask you a question, because I mean, it's a good conversation, and let's say this, okay, and I'm just going to go off, and when I say correct me if something that I've heard is not accurate,
right?
But you know, David Ralston, Governor Nathan Deal became governor 2010. Mm-hmm. David Ralston became Speaker of the House 2010. Okay. They both paralleled their terms here. And at that time, if my numbers are right, and there's no notes. If you can see, there's no notes. We're having a conversation. But I understand that Governor Nathan Deal said that when he came into office, and he said jokingly, if he'd have known this, he might not have run, that there was as little as maybe $300,000 in the Georgia Rainy Day Fund. Okay, and again, off the top of my head, no notes. We're close to $3 million or billion now in the Rainy Day Fund. Almost $3 billion in the Rainy Day Fund. That has gone up. Where you and I sit here in Ellijay, Georgia, in North Georgia, I've actually called it a depression. I say we lived in a depression because I personally experienced it here with many of us. So in this area, in the last 8 years, refunding, and you and I both know about furloughing teachers,
right?
All the above, and having to enlarge classrooms. In the last 8 years, the state says, correct this if I'm wrong, the state says that QEB is fully funded, austerity cuts are done, there's, smaller classroom sizes can come back, a rainy day fund of $3 billion, and I will say this, Fannin County, okay, which is in the district,
right,
was the first county and the fastest county to come out of the recession than anywhere in the state of Georgia to recover from that. So when 40% in poverty, I don't know, what if a mean old guy like me says, well, get up and go to work because we're looking for people to work. I mean, I'm just,
I know.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
What if somebody said, well, wait a minute, Margaret, have you not looked where 2010 is and where we are in 2018, and has North Georgia not come back?
North Georgia has come back, but it still has a lot of improvement to make. You talk about this rainy day fund. You're not including, though, all the debt. I mean, when the candidates get out there and they talk about the fact that it's balanced the budget, They're not talking about all the debt they have on properties that have been through a building authority, even in Atlanta, libraries, college buildings, whatever, that debt is not on that balance sheet. So we have billions of dollars of debt as well as that rainy day fund. Again, going back to auditing, a forensic audit on the Department of Education, forensic audit on the Department of Corrections, forensic audit on the DOT. We are sending a lot of money to Atlanta. And Gilmer County and Fannin County are considered donor counties as well, even though we're at the poverty level. So, there has to be some scrutiny about the spending. I said, I'm not disputing the spending. I'm not disputing how it's used in those different areas, but let's make sure that we're using it wisely. Fannin County wants a library. Now, Fannin County, you're right. One of the reasons why they came out of that recession so quickly? They didn't have the debt. And they have a lot of people that have moved there around Blue Ridge Lake. There's a lot of recreation there. A lot of tourists go there. Now, I don't want to hang my hat on tourism. Tourism can be very fickle. But you had the downtown Blue Ridge was very vibrant. We've not had that luxury here in Gilmer County. But things can change very quickly. Let's be prepared. Let's be forward thinking and how we can deal with any, whether it's a windfall or maybe another little mini recession, who knows. But because of the Trump, you and I have been big Trump supporters for a long time.
I will admit that on camera. I will. I want to make it.
Yeah, we had a discussion. You and I were
Yes.
lone wolves there for a long time. But in January, the state was anticipating a $100 million revenue stream. Do you know they had $300 million? And that's because of Donald Trump cutting the taxes and stimulating the economy through that extra money to spend. So the state of Georgia is bringing in more money because of the Trump windfall. They return 0.25% of our money to us, the taxpayer. And they keep all the rest of it for what? They think they can spend it better than we do? So the budget next year, including the money that's coming from the federal government, is going to be somewhere around $60 billion. This year, with the combined two, our budget this year was $26 billion, not including the windfalls. But I just have some issues with how it's spent.
All right, let me ask you this because I want to get to some pointed questions.
Okay.
We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
As a representative, you do a couple things. First and foremost, you should represent your district, which
Exactly,
is the
I
7th
agree with
district,
that. Mhm.
which is Fannin, Gilmer, and a portion of Dawson County. So that's A. B, though, when you go down there to Atlanta, if elected, you do cast votes that affect the state, regions of the state, while you're looking for someone to co-sponsor or someone to support your bill that would be a positive for the 7th, there's going to be people that would look to you to say, hey, co-sponsor or sponsor my bill that's going to be good for South Georgia or over in Valdosta or whatever. That happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so what is the level of compromise, and I'll use that word, or how do you feel you'll be able to go down there and work with other representatives? That's number one. And number two, let's say the budget next year, if elected, is $26 billion. And it's a hypothetical. Well, let's say it's $27 billion because it has gone up $1 billion every year.
Yeah.
Does Margaret Williamson vote no on a budget like that? How do you want to see the budget process? And what would it be like for other representatives to work with you?
Well, I would certainly work with them, and I don't think compromise is a dirty word that it's been made out to be. You have to balance. Critical thinking is a lost art. Everybody has to point fingers and demand for themselves, but you really need to sit down and discuss the issues, and not only with the legislators, but you got to come back in the district and be transparent about what's happening. Go out there, hold town hall meetings. You know, people are afraid of town hall meetings. They're afraid, some legislators are afraid to be asked the hard questions. But find out where your constituents are. Those are the people you represent. And yes, your legislation can affect the whole state, and you have to bear that in mind. But my responsibility is going to be the people in the 7th District. I want to hear how they feel on things. I want to know what they look to their future, you know, how they're looking towards their future, their needs, their children, all of these things, you know, bringing people into the district. You need to have hand-on interaction with the people in the district. Otherwise, you don't understand. And if you just have an agenda and you want to force a particular thing on your district, you won't be transparent. Just like with the hospital situation here, most of the people had no idea what was happening with that certificate of need. And now that it's been signed into law, the chances of us having a hospital here for a long time is not a probability. And you know, that was just very disappointing and discouraging to me that we did not know what was happening.
Well, let me ask you this, Margaret, and I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I've known you for now since the day we opened FetcherNews.com. You and your family, so I feel comfortable. Yeah. Is that okay,
yeah,
Mark?
Uh-huh.
All right. Let me ask you this, Margaret, because this I know. Since I've met you. You go to the Capitol during session.
Yes.
There's many committee hearings that you have sat in the audience. Mm-hmm. There's committee hearings that you have testified in.
Yes.
There's rallies you've attended.
Yes.
There's doors you've knocked on at the Capitol telling other representatives around the state, don't vote this way, vote this way,
right.
or this is my reason. You've done all that
yes.
for years.
Uh-huh.
Very active at the Capitol.
Yes.
Know most of the representatives, maybe even some Democrats, but you know most of the
yes.
representatives, right?
A lot of them, yes.
Right, I'm going somewhere. You know most of the senators.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you were sitting here and you were running for House of Representatives,
uh-huh.
I would say to you, if elected, would you support Paul Ryan as Speaker of the House? I'm not looking for an answer.
Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't.
Well, I knew that answer. Wasn't looking for it, but okay.
He's retired anyways. Okay.
But anyhow, I'm getting the reason why I think this question is important. If you were sitting here today and you were running for U.S. Senator, I would say to you, and as you well know,
I would support Mitch McConnell.
You wouldn't support Mitch McConnell. Okay, now.
I'm transparent.
Okay, well now you're right up to where we're at. You know what? You know Atlanta. You know the representatives. Mm-hmm. You know the caucus. You know. And that I'm sitting here very affirmed right now. If you were to be the winner, if you wake up Wednesday morning and be the winner, not only will David Ralston not be Speaker of the House, but Representative at 7th, he wouldn't be Speaker of the House Wednesday morning.
That's great.
Okay, that's great. So you caught what you wanted. That's great. That's what you say. That's great. You don't want him to be Speaker of the House.
I want a real conservative to be there.
Who? Yes.
Now,
who?
You know, somebody was asking me that the other day. We sound like owls.
Yes, who? Well, hoot owl, who? Because I want to know. Because the reality is if this district, and I do want to let the voters know, you know, there's other districts, off the top of my head, I don't know the number of districts in the state of Georgia, but guess what? All of them out there do not have the Speaker of the House, and they are economically moving along.
Yes.
And I know we put emphasis on that. I've seen the upside of it. But I also understand the world wouldn't end in North Georgia.
No.
I want to say that. But that being said is, who do you want to be Speaker of the House? Because I do know you well enough to know Wednesday, if you win, you know what's happened. And there's somebody out there that says, I want to be Speaker of the House. Who would you want to go support?
You know, one of them that I would support is Jason Spencer. Jason Spencer is one of the most transparent legislators there in the House. He sends out newsletters every week telling his constituents of all of the bills that are important that he knows his constituents are concerned about, and how they affect the district and how they affect the state. He always is explaining the bill, and he never tries to dress it up or make it anything that it isn't, and he's a strong conservative, and he has stood against the establishment there in Atlanta. And you know, he serves on committees. I've followed some of his bills that he has sponsored, and I've been in the committee rooms to hear his presentation. And he's one that I like.
Are you aware of his interest in being speaker, or just somebody?
No. I mean, nobody's expressed an interest. You do that, and you're going to get a broom closet for an office, and you don't appear on any more committees.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
The MOP is your administrative assistant.
That's right.
Okay. Look, we got 2 minutes.
Okay.
We've had a great conversation. We've been all the way around the block on several things. What did you want to express to the viewers the day before election that we may have missed out?
Okay, well, I know that the voters are going to be very happy when this is over because there are signs everywhere, you know, campaign signs. But I just want to let the voters know that 90% of the contributions to my campaign have come from within the district. 90% of my opponents' campaign funds have come from outside of the district, and some even from outside of the state. So when you look at those campaign signs, when you look at those big blue signs out there, you think, who is he going to represent? The people that are giving all the money, or you? Now you look at my sign, my beautiful signs, and you think, she has got all of her contributions from, or 90% within the district, and who is she going to represent? I'm going to represent the people of the 7th District. I'm going to be transparent, open, and I'm going to be here. I've lived here for 37 years. I'm not going anywhere. I've got 15 grandchildren. 11 of them are here in the district. I'm not going anywhere. I want to hear from you. I want to meet your needs as best as I can. So tomorrow when you go out to the polls, I'm asking you to vote for the true conservative, Margaret Williamson, and I will represent you to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Margaret. We appreciate it. And again, we always say, FetcherNews.com thanks you for your willingness to serve, and we wish you well. And we're going to take a break, folks. This is the Georgia State Representative House District 7 race, where Republican primary Margaret Williamson is challenging the incumbent David Ralston. We're going to take a brief break, and when we return, we're going to have one more candidate today. We're going to talk to Josh McCoon, that is running for Secretary of State. Take us a break.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hey, and we're back. I'm your host, BKP. It's been a long morning, but we're not done. As they say, I will say this nicely, don't confuse this with an endorsement, sir, but we saved the best for last, okay? We are now joined by Senator Josh McKoon, who is a Republican primary candidate for Secretary of State. How are you doing this morning, Mr. McKoon?
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you having me on this morning.
Well, you know, we really, in North Georgia, we got to know you very well throughout your time in the Senate. You spent a lot of time on some different subjects and legislation that you did crisscross the state. How did your time in the Senate prepare you? And some of the statewide legislation you have worked on in the past several years, how did that prepare you for the statewide race you're in now?
Well, definitely some of the issues I took on during my 8 years in the General Assembly, ethics reform, religious freedom legislation, we sought to solicit grassroots support from every corner of the state, not just my Senate district. And so, thankfully, I've made some great friendships and relationships over the years through those efforts. And a lot of those folks, want to see me be successful in this campaign and have lent me their reputations over the last 10 months as we've been crisscrossing the state trying to tell people about our message to make Georgia the fastest state in the nation to get a job and the toughest state in the nation to cast an illegal vote.
Well, let me ask you this. Last night, our current Secretary of State, which is running for Governor Brian Kemp, in the debate last night, he was one of his opponents took him to task concerning, and maybe you could clear this up, because some candidates run on some promises without actually knowing if they could fulfill them. And the reason I say that is he was taken to task about small business tax fees on taxes on the registration and so forth, and the current Secretary of State said so many of those, and it's, I'm not being specific or not, but so many of the fees are actually state legislative amounts that are set through the state. Not to put him on the spot, but is that correct? And what would be the process of changing fees for different things and how things are structured in the Secretary of State's office?
Yeah, so the fee schedule for filing corporate paperwork is generally set by statute. There are some fees that are set for expedited service, like if you want something turned around the same day or next day. And the Secretary of State has some discretion in setting those fees. So I guess you could say they both people had a point in that discussion. You would need some legislative help to overhaul the entire fee schedule. though. I mean, you would have to have a
so
bill.
when you say
something.
well, I don't mean to interrupt you, sir, but when you say legislative help, but what you're saying is that if any candidates out there promising to cut this fee and then this fee and then that, your authorities end at expedited fees. So if I was going to Secretary of State's website and say, hey, I want to do this, but I want it in the 2-day, not the usual 7 to 10 or 2 week window, you can put a 2-day fee that you could waive or change, but the actual fee for the license or any of those fees are actually a fee schedule that is set by the state?
That's correct.
Okay, so anybody that's promising to eliminate those needs to follow up with saying, is there any fees or anything on the fee schedule that where a Secretary of State, Josh McCoon, would readjust, ask for different legislation, or you think it's unnecessary?
Yeah, I think that the expedite process, what I think we need to do is we need to publish a schedule for how quickly we'll turn around to filing if you just pay the regular fee, and then we need to be accountable on that. But for people to be paying $1,000 for same-day turnaround of filings, I think is excessive. And I think the 250-day expedite fee for next-day service is excessive. When I started doing corporate paperwork as part of my law practice, you paid a $100 fee to file it. You paid a $100 fee if you wanted expedited service, and I thought that was a fair system.
All right, we're seeing a lot of commercials now. Obviously, some of your opponents have self-funded their campaigns, loaned themselves a lot of money, and have made some major media purchases. But one candidate in particular, I'm watching some of the ads, and I'm not understanding how they pertain to the authorities of the Secretary of State. Are people being misled on some of the authorities the Secretary of State has in that office and what that office can actually do? And can you be specific, if any?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about some of the advertising that's referencing human trafficking and I think even the illegal drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the ad, and as a student of state government, I'm thinking, you don't even have the authority to even, I mean, that's not on your daily list when you get up in the morning as Secretary of State.
Right. I mean, that's really to the extent there's any statewide officer that's got purview over that, it's the Attorney General. And, Secretary of State has a wide-ranging set of responsibilities, but they're basically corporate filings, elections administration, professional licensing, securities and charities regulation, and there are a handful of other smaller functions. But, busting up criminal gangs or, ending human trafficking or doing something about the drug trade, while those are all noble policy goals, they're not really anything within the purview of the Secretary of State's office.
Okay, we have heard so much, and I don't want to rehash it because you are on your last day of campaigning, and we have heard so much about election machines and paper trail, and we've heard that over and over and over. Share with our voters, because elections do run through the Secretary of State's office. You do certify the elections and send them up the chain to the federal government or to the state. That being said, what are the most concerning things that you need to be aware of as the next Secretary of State for the 2020 election coming up? What does a Josh McCoon Secretary of State office have to prepare for, have to be aware of, and have to make sure that you enforce or stay on your toes?
Well, we're operating in a complicated legal environment. And the thing that really sets me apart from the rest of the candidates for this office on the Republican and the Democratic side is I'm the only one with election law experience. I'm the only one that's gone into court and litigated election law issues. And we're going to have a lot of election law issues coming forward. Secretary Kemp, Secretary Handel, they all got sued routinely by folks on the far left who know they can't change Georgia election law in the legislature, so they've moved from the state house to the courthouse. And so you need somebody in this office that can anticipate those challenges, act in a way to try to avoid those challenges, or be in a position to vigorously defend them. And that's going to be really important because the left's going to do whatever they can to try to put their thumb on the scale through the courthouse before Donald Trump's on the ballot for re-election.
And you're determined to be able to battle the incoming left attacks through the court system?
Absolutely. You know, I think I'm the only one in this race who has a clear record of fighting the left and not cutting and running. I mean, you know, this whole religious freedom debate for the last 4 years, whatever you think about the merits of this particular issue, the Democrats absolutely put it in their crosshairs. They were coming after us. I didn't give them an inch. We were able to get the bill through the legislature. Of course, it did get vetoed, but 4 of the leading Republican candidates for governor have pledged to sign it into law. And that's what a bold leader does. A bold leader casts a vision, pursues it relentlessly. That's what I've done as a state senator. It's what I'm going to do as the next Secretary of State.
Mr. McCune, we're going to have to run because of our next show coming up, and this is the fastest 2 hours on TV. But let me ask you a question. Last day of campaigning, what do you got going on today? And give us your final 1 minute of why voters should take a good look at Josh McCune for Secretary of State.
So I'm in Metro Atlanta today. I'll be traveling around quite a bit this afternoon and this evening. Why people should vote for me? Very simple. This is going to be the marquee race in November. The Democrats are going to spend millions of dollars trying to steal this open seat from Republicans. You need an experienced fighter to win this election in November. You need someone who you can trust to keep their word once they get elected. And you need somebody who's competent to do the job on day one. I check all those boxes, and with your help, we're going to make Georgia the fastest state in the nation to get a job and the toughest state in the nation to cast an illegal vote.
Thank you, Mr. McCune. We appreciate you very much. As always, we thank you for your willingness to serve, and we wish you well today in your campaign. And we look forward to talking to you Wednesday as maybe the winner, maybe a runoff, but we look forward to talking to you right after Tuesday.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, well, that concludes our candidate day here. It's all the candidates we could get in. We couldn't get to everybody. We apologize for each and every one of you that are saying, why didn't you get our candidate? Why didn't you call this person? It was all the ones we could squeeze in today. We're trying to get the most out of it and get the most information for you. That is the voters. Check out our Election 2018 button. We'll be working on that today to make sure that all the information is there. Now, I do not have time because it is time for our next program, but I want you to know, I know the polls open in the morning, I think 7 a.m. in Georgia. If you want to wait to vote, I am going to open up tomorrow morning with kindly an opinion for an hour on Georgia state elections and kindly some of the races. So if you want to talk a little more about the races tomorrow morning and what you heard today with some of these candidates before you go vote, we'll do that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I hope this has been information for you that you can use when going to the ballot box. Don't forget, don't complain. Go vote. I don't want to hear you complaining. Go vote tomorrow in Georgia. It's now time for Instant Replay, the only live online #1 sports show every Monday. Dave Gardner's Instant Replay right after these messages. Thank you. Stay put for Instant Replay. Take us out here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Instant Replay. I'm your host, Dave Garner. We thank you for joining us here on this Monday Live, May 21st, 2018. If you're watching on Monday, you're indeed watching this program live right now from 10 a.m. until 11 this morning. We thank you for being with us. If you're watching Tuesday through Thursday, then you're watching an encore of this program, but it still makes sense. Again, this is our weekly sports update, and this is the only live weekly online sports program in North Georgia that we know of anyway, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, you can contact us at 706-889-9700, and you can always email us at teamfynsports@fetchernews.com. We've got an action-packed hour for you today, and you can probably tell, maybe you can, I don't know. I know I can. I've lost a little bit of my voice. I went to the Atlanta United contest last night on Sunday night down at Mercedes-Benz. My very first ever MLS experience, my first Atlanta United experience, and obviously had a pretty good time because I can't hardly talk this morning, but a lot of the yelling and screaming was because of the officiating and how awful it was. I'm not going to make any bones about it. A lot of the talk, of course, Monday morning was about the officiating or lack thereof. A lot of controversial calls, and we'll save that debate for a rainy day. We've got a lot of high school sports to talk about. In fact, pretty much I'd say about 90% of what we're going to talk about today or be able to talk about, we may not even get to it, is probably going to be centered around high school sports this morning. And we're excited about that because really that is the purpose of this program. Again, if it happens in North Georgia, we're all over it. And we're promoting and highlighting student athletes in a positive way right here on the Instant Replay and also with Team FYN Sports. So again, we'll save that for another day, but we're going to talk a little bit in the coming weeks about various topics, and one of those is going to be officiating, because I really feel like the officiating has really gotten terrible just about every sport at every level. Now, I know Luther, he's been a high school official, so I'm not necessarily talking about high school officiating as much as I'm talking about college and pro. So again, I'm not gonna pick on our school officials so much, but we're going to save this debate, this topic, for another time. But again, last night was certainly one of those moments where you just scratch your head and say, wow, what is going on here? But otherwise, great time. Took the family. Everyone's first time to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and if you haven't had a chance to go down there, it's awesome. It's a great experience. I went to a Falcons game this past season. This was my first Atlanta United experience, but it was a great experience. I mean, it's an awesome place. It's an awesome venue to watch football and professional soccer. And again, very, very excited. Very excited about the Atlanta United team. But we've lost 2 in a row now at home, which is unlike us. But again, a lot of the officiating, and I'm not just saying this because my team lost. That's not why I'm dogging on the officiating, but it is what it is, and that's my little rant of the week, I guess. Amanda, how are you doing?
Doing good.
How was your weekend?
We have had just a crazy morning this morning with election season. It's finally over until the end of the year.
Right.
So that has been going crazy. But I had a very relaxing weekend. So coming in this morning with all these candidates has been woo.
Tomorrow's a big day around our country. I mean, obviously elections here locally, and I'm sure we'll have some runoffs, so it may not be completely over yet. But I know BKP had a very busy morning on his program with all the election stuff going on, and I know you've had a busy morning as well. So we'll try to keep it easy. We'll try to keep it moving. We'll try not to throw too much at you.
I already feel a little bit better.
There you go. We've got an awesome show ahead. Again, we're going to go ahead and jump right on it. A lot of things going on. Spring football practice, taking it to the next level. We've got a lot of college signees to get you caught up on. Also, changing of the guard, some coaching changes locally in our area, and we're going to touch on all those things. And we are expected to have one of our FYN Sports correspondents joining us here in a few minutes, RJ Casey from down in Jasper from Pickens High, and RJ covers sports first in Pickens County. We also got Luther Kinsey behind the glass as well, and Luther, man, you've had a busy week covering everything from golf to bull riding to Special Olympics to you name it, man. You're all over the place.
Sir, you know, we talk a lot of truth on this show, but today we get to talk a little bull.
Hey, that's right up our alley. I mean, it's going to fit in just perfectly for what we do. So very excited about that, no doubt about it. Let's go ahead and jump in to spring football. And like I said, we're going to hear from RJ a little bit later on the show here, maybe the next few minutes or so. But Pickens taking on Dawson on this past Friday night, May 18th. The big story, though, I guess, was really the completion of the stadium, getting to see everything kind of come together, the 32-foot electronic video board, the new turf, of course, laid down at Dragon Stadium, and what an atmosphere. Pickens, again, would win the overall contest with Dawson, 42-32, the final score there with JV and varsity, everyone combined. We're going to hear it, like I said, from RJ in a little bit, but Luther, I know you were there as well. What was it like seeing everything kind of come together? I know you've been following the completion of the stadium, but what was it like to see a crowd there and kind of see football being played?
It was absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you, that field will benefit the fast running backs and receivers that Pickens has.
Right.
It plays very fast.
Right.
The cool play technology they used in the pellets was amazing. It wasn't too bad hot, you know, as far as the weather goes on Friday night. It was perfect night for football, but the coolness of the field, you could definitely tell the difference between that and a normal turf.
Right.
And just beautiful. The board, the video board was amazing. And I'm sure RJ, who I think is actually on the line now and ready for us, will talk some about that, but it is amazing. The American flag just flashing back, waving as if it's real on that video screen for the national anthem was just chills.
Phenomenal.
Chills.
That's
And
awesome.
I look forward to, the stories and pictures that RJ has, for the season, and what Pickens County's going to do. They look really good, and Dawson looked good.
Right.
Dawson looked good. Dawson, fairly young, early mistakes. Of course, spring practice game, had a lot of turnovers. But they're going to be all right as well. I'll have more on them as the season draws closer and continues.
There we go. Sounds
I've
good.
actually got RJ on the line. RJ, can you hear?
RJ, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, man. I'm here.
Hey, there he is. All right. We'd like to welcome right now to the program, again, our FYN Sports Pickens correspondent, RJ Casey, joining us live right here on the Instant Replay. And RJ, obviously, you may have heard a little bit with Luther there, and I were talking about spring football and everything. I know you've been following, really all sports in Pickens County throughout the whole spring, but what was your take on Friday night with the football team?
I thought they looked pretty good, especially for only practicing for basically a week and a half. They looked pretty good. CJ Stryker looked pretty good at quarterback. The defense looked really good, forcing several turnovers against the good Dawson offense. But overall, yeah, they looked pretty good Friday night.
Absolutely. So to give me your impression of the, let's go back and talk about, first of all, let's talk about the stadium. I mean, obviously the excitement has built in and around Pickens County with the addition of the turf and the electronic board, video board and all those elements that are going to enhance those Friday nights this fall. What's been your take of the new stadium? Are you a big fan of it?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I was talking to people Friday night. It's like I'd never would have thought something like this would have come to little old Pickens County, but it's beautiful. The turf feels amazing when you walk on it. The video board is just awesome. The lights are really something too. It really illuminates what you're seeing down on the field, and
right.
It's always been a pretty place to watch a football game, but now it's really something.
Absolutely. It's one of those campuses in general. You pull on the campus and it's very picturesque, and now the stadium even more so with the addition of the turf. RJ, let's talk a little bit. I know spring sports starting to wrap up. Spring football is kind of that last domino to fall, if you will, before we kind of transition into the summer workouts. I know you've talked to Coach Parker and you've had some conversation, I'm sure, with some of the players as connected as you are to that program. What's the feeling about this year's Pickens Dragons team now going into the off-season workouts?
I think they think they've got a pretty good shot coming in this fall, especially with they want to improve on how things left
last year. I know they didn't want the 4 seed going up against Cartersville last year, but yeah, they've got a pretty good shot. They've got a lot of home games this year with that new turf, and it should hopefully benefit them going through the season, and they got a pretty good shot in the region this year.
There we go. Absolutely. It's always a tough draw anytime you get a Cartersville in the first round. You want to avoid that number 4 seed certainly coming out of your side and having to go somewhere like that. But, yeah, this Dragons team certainly seems headed in the right direction. You mentioned C.J. Stryker. They got a lot of young, good players that are coming up to kind of mesh with those veterans like Zach Goss and those guys who've been around a while. And we're certainly looking forward to hearing more from the Dragons as we get further into the off-season workout there. And, RJ, hey, thanks for being on with us this morning. Look forward to hearing more from you as we build towards another high school football season in Pickens County.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. Sounds good, bud. Thanks for being with us this morning right here on the Instant Replay. Again, that was RJ Casey, our Team FYN Sports correspondent from Pickens County, joining us right here with an update from Pickens High School. And again, the Dragons, again, winning that scrimmage. Dawson County's been very tough over the last several years. You know, Sid Maxwell had come out of retirement to take over that program for a couple of years, really got the Tigers back on the map. They may be tough this year, but certainly a good sign for the Dragons to be able to put together a big win on their opening action on the turf. Everything coming together now in Pickens County, and we're going to talk more about the Dragons a little bit later on. Meanwhile, Gilmer County also in action against Coahulla Creek. And Luther, I know you and I talked about some of these matchups. A lot of these teams in the spring not necessarily keeping score. In fact, there was no score reported. It was just a 0-0 tie basically being reported from that Gilmer scrimmage there against Coahulla Creek. But nonetheless, we're seeing the Bobcats kind of coming together. Fannin County took on Cass in a very similar situation. No official score kept as it was very controlled on both sides of the ball. But even though a lot of the scrimmages were controlled this past week, this past Thursday and Friday night, we saw teams really moving the ball up and down the field, executing a little bit. That's always a great thing to see, especially this early in the year. And I love the format of being able to play another school in the spring. We've never seen that before until recently. It was always you had to wait till fall scrimmage, but now instead of just having those inter-squad scrimmages, these guys are able to see real competition in the spring, which really serves as a good measuring stick.
The spring game is more or less to just, to cultivate the 2-week spring practice for them. You can learn a lot, in advance of when you really have to start focusing on individual technique and individual players, things like that. It gives you a really good idea of what you have going into.
Right.
And, being able to play, have another team come in or go to that team's stadium, is really good for the coaches and it's good for the players. Sorry, I lost for words there for a second. It's Monday.
It is.
It really gives the coaches an idea as a whole. You have 60, 70, 80 plus sometimes come out for spring practice, and when the regular season starts, you may have 60 of those 80.
Right.
So
which is typically the case, but
it just gives you an idea of what you have up front to look forward to, the ones you really want to try to work on. Of course, you don't want to give up on any of them.
Sure.
But at the same time, you're going to know in this spring practice who's going to stay and who's going to not, so to speak.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
But it is, like I said, a lot of teams moving the ball up and down. I know you'll get to it in just a second. Fannin County, had 5A Cass coming in.
It's tough competition. Yeah.
I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but Cass decided to cancel out of that. So it gave Coach Cheatham the opportunity to do kind of a blue-gray inter-squad scrimmage. And, he got everyone on the field. And he possibly got a look at some of those that he might not have gotten to if Cass hadn't showed up to play. So that, and that's really good for him in his first season.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Lumpkin County also with a win over Johnson Gainesville. The Knights came to town. Lumpkin, no score available there, but we do know that Lumpkin was able to move the ball on those guys, had a good sound performance, executing the wishbone there. White County Warriors also in action. Union County also going at it as well. So a lot of our teams in North Georgia with scrimmages this past week, officially wrapping up spring practice, and now and we're going to continue to talk about them. I know we're kind of running short on time here in our first segment. We are going to circle back around, especially in the next few weeks. We're going to continue the football discussion. We've got a lot of other stuff to get to today, so we will circle back around next week right here on the program and talk a little bit more in depth about our local high school football programs, and we'll do that obviously leading up to kickoff this year. We've got a whole summer to work with, so that's going to certainly be a focus of the Instant Replay and of Team FYN Sports. But again, a lot of things going on locally. High school football teams wrapping up their scrimmages, wrapping up their capping their 2-week spring practice sessions, and a lot of good things coming out of North Georgia. So we're certainly excited about it. Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we return, we'll talk a little bit more high school sports, taking it to the next level. A lot of local area athletes making their college choices official, and we'll talk a little bit of track and field, golf, and fishing. That's right, high school fishing coming up as well. Stay with us.
Life is filled with moments, some monumental, some mere seconds. Moments we often take for granted as we worry and anticipate all the moments to come. At Woodman Life, we help ease that worry with our affordable insurance and retirement products. We work to protect financial security, community pride, patriotism, and peace of mind so that you can protect the moments that matter most.
Tracy Jordan, Republican candidate for Georgia Insurance Commissioner, ask for your vote. Tracy has her priorities straight. Auto insurance providers should no longer be allowed to raise their rates without approval from Georgia's insurance commissioner. Health insurance providers will reimburse claims within 30 days or be fined. Georgians will finally be able to count on an insurance commissioner who fights for them instead of the insurance industry. Vote for the true conservative candidate, Tracy Jordan, a voice for Georgians.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff. And welcome back to this episode of the Instant Replay. Again, I'm your host, Dave Garner, and as a reminder, you can always call us or email us and let us know about what's going on in your neck of the woods when it comes to local sports. Again, this is the fastest hour of online sports in North Georgia. Again, it goes quick, and we got a lot more to talk about still on the program here today, but as always, you can call us at 706-889-9700, and you can always email us your information, score updates, any information you'd like to share with us right here on the program. You can do that by emailing us at teamfynsports@fetchernews.com. Our very own Luther Kinsey joining us behind the glass here today. And Luther, you were at the Special Olympics in Fannin County this past week, amongst the many things that you were able to get to. And how did that go up there? I used to always love attending Special Olympics in Gilmer County and in Pickens County. You know, seeing those athletes compete, it's just an awesome feeling. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's amazing. Being from Hall County originally, of course, I officiated basketball and softball and some flag football for Special Olympics for many years. There's nothing that can touch the heart more than watching these athletes just give their all, and smiles, the tears.
Absolutely.
Yep. It was a very, very heart-touching moment for me, and I will never, ever turn down the opportunity to be around these athletes.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun. Well, you know, and the good thing, or not necessarily the good thing, but the strange thing about this is it was scheduled to be at Fannin County High School football field outside. Expectations of heavy rain and thunderstorms, they were forced to find an alternative location, and Fannin County Middle School stepped up.
Right.
And Miss Jeannie Bell, she is the director of the Special Olympics in Fannin County, basically set everything up, and with the help of the principal, Mr. Knuckles, and 2 assistant principals, Dr. Huff and Tony Tickler, worked the logistics out. The teaching staff and the lunchroom staff had to change basically their whole schedules. You're feeding 150, 200 athletes plus your normal students.
Exactly, yeah.
Everything went off without a hitch.
That's great.
It was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
They had long jump, the tennis ball throw, and what was supposed to be a 50-yard dash, but being that it was moved inside, it was more of a full court dash.
Right, exactly.
Medals were given in each event.
Right.
They had obstacle course, kind of slalom, where they put cones out and they still did the full court dash, working around that. It was amazing. Chick-fil-A sponsored the lunch for the athletes. The Chick-fil-A cows were there. They participated in a couple events, which the athletes just loved.
Right.
The Nighthawk, the mascot for University of North Georgia, was there.
There you go. Sounds like a lot of fun. I mean,
in bird language, told me that you really wanted to compete, but would probably be ruled ineligible because of the wings.
Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly. Already college.
Again, just fun to be had by all. Great experience, laughter and tears and smiles just all day long by these athletes.
There you go.
But Jenny Bell, Dr. Knuckles, Dr. Huff, and Mr. Tickler, the 3 administrators and the director, kudos, great pat on the back for them for being able to make the transition in less than 24 hours.
Right. That's awesome.
Did great.
Very good. Congratulations to all the folks there in Fannin County for pulling off the Special Olympics. And, rain, Mother Nature, it's one of the things we don't have control over. So sometimes you just got to roll with it. But everyone did a really good job of pulling that event together. Thanks, Luther, for being there, and certainly appreciate the update on the Fannin County Special Olympics. Speaking of athletes taking it to the next level, that brings us to our Taking It to the Next Level segment. And this is the segment where we talk about our student athletes who have indeed signed and made their college choices official, where they're planning on, of course, extending their academic and athletic futures. And we've got several to report to you with just a little bit of time here, so we'll run through them. But how about Union County Panther Cole Wright accepted to West Point? Obviously, if you're accepted to West Point, you've done something right. You've got to be a great human being as well as a good student. And Cole is the son of Shane and Summer Wright. He was the captain of the football team and also a member of the track team. So congratulations to Union County Panther Cole Wright, headed to West Point to continue his athletic and academic career. Also, Union County golfer Megan Rowe has signed to play at Columbus State and major in early childhood education as well. So congratulations to Megan. Also, Grace Wishmeyer from Union County has signed to play at Maryville, and she's going to major in biology. So congratulations, both Rowe and Wishmeyer will tee it up in the estate golf tournament as well, which as a matter of fact, as we speak. So again, 2 of the golfers competing in the state tournament headed to the next level, and we certainly want to wish them all the best. We're going to talk a little bit more about golf here in just a second. Dawson County High School graduate Harley Vaughn, by the way, was invited to work out for the Atlanta Falcons on the rookie minicamp, during the rookie minicamp back on May the 10th at Flowery Branch. After graduating from Dawson, Vaughn attended the University of West Georgia, where he basically started every game he played for the Wolves. And again, over his 4-year college career, several all-conference, all-American selections his senior year, and was second-team All-American nod this past season as well. So congratulations to Harley Vaughn. We'll keep you updated on the progress of all of our student athletes as they move on to the next level, and maybe even some that kind of go to the pro ranks or at least have a shot at that as well. And we also have Lizzie Howard as well from that's signing to play with ABAC soccer scholarship there. That signing, I believe, is today, Luther. I think you said at 1:30.
Yes, today at 1:30. I will be there and have coverage for next week's show.
All right, Lizzie, and she's from Pickens High, I believe. And so, again, congratulations to Lizzie on a job well done, headed for soccer scholarship. We're starting to see more and more soccer athletes across our area be involved and starting to get those looks. Traditionally, not a strong area for that, but now with the growth of the soccer programs and so forth, it's just been awesome, and that's our Taking It to the Next Level segment. A couple more notes. Fishing. We talked about this before the break. Bass fishing. Pickens High School's Spencer Childers competed in the HSAA Bass Tournament, which is also known as the Bass Masters, and he brought home the victory. So it won't be long before we start highlighting Childers in some of these next level segments and national tournaments. Congratulations there. As we know, Gilmer High School, Pickens High School, they have those fishing teams now that are officially recognized. And so that's an awesome thing there, no doubt about it. Congratulations to Spencer on a job well done. And track and field, we talked about it this past week, and a lot of things going on. Excuse me as I continue to lose my voice here. But Union County, Dawson County showing up big in the state track meets. You had Zoe Sanchez finishing in the top 10 in the 1600. You had Frankie Muldoon also in the top there as well with 5 minutes 36 seconds. She placed 5th, which is the highest finish for the Panthers in the 3,200 meter event. Dawson's Jenna LaCours finished right behind her. Riley Barrett, a senior of Union County, placing in the top 10 in the 400. And I tell you what, just a lot of great efforts here. It just went up and down. I mean, Luther, when you talk about the track and field, when you talk about the efforts of our local area student athletes in track and field this year, Olivia Moore, state champion out of Pickens County, the accolades just continue to roll in for some of these local student athletes, man. It's just awesome. It's an awesome thing to see. No doubt about it. Amanda, what's going on? You can't,
We've got high school graduation.
You can't break his concentration like that. I mean, Luther. I mean, you know how Luther works. I mean,
we've got graduation coming up next week, and we were having a little graduation discussion because we both have to be, there taking tons of pictures of graduates.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Celebrating their careers.
Exactly.
Yeah. I tell you, Riley Barrett. Going back, talking about the track. Riley Barrett, just of Union County, 3 events. Did well in all 3 of them. I have never met that young man, but I would like to meet him and shake his hand. He is more athletic in 1 foot than I am in my whole body. So, I mean, it's just, several track all around, all schools all around. Didn't get to cover all of them this week, but, I will be bringing them up in shows later on. Pickens did very well in track.
Right, yeah.
Of course, Gilmer did very good. Clear Creek Middle School just had their banquet this past week honoring theirs, where I'm going to mess this name up, sure as the world, Jocelyn Burko, school record in shot put.
Yeah.
So track is like soccer. It's really starting to take hold and grow in this area, and we're going to be seeing more of these in the future.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. How about golf? Real quick, state golf tournaments start today. We talked a lot about Catherine Densmore from Pickens, of course, being in the 4A competition there, teeing it up in Helen over at Innsbruck. Area 3, White County's Jacob Adams will compete at the estate meet as well this week. Excuse me. So we're starting to see golf come together. The Union and Dawson County girls are being represented at the Katichi Golf Club over in Lake Hartwell, Georgia. Dawson County's Jeremiah Crumley and Fannin girls Lainey Painter will be driving as well for championships this week. So next week we'll have updates on how all these guys did today and tomorrow over the next couple days. But Luther, you're dressed for golf today. Am I feeling it that maybe you might be headed to the links today in some way, shape, or form? I don't know. I mean, you got your golf polo on today. You got your shorts. I mean, you're totally rocking the golf thing today. So,
well, the last couple of weeks we talked about the amount of polos that I own.
Right.
This is polo number 73.
73, I think, is what you said. I'm on number 12.
And since I'm not on camera, it's a very nice blue and orange. And no, I'm not a Tennessee fan.
That's what I was
it's a different orange. Polo. I can confirm it's definitely a different orange. But yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's more of an auburn look, though. So it's a blue, it's that navy blue, kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, go Jackets. But
you sure you're not War Eagle? Okay.
But yeah, right. I originally had on my schedule this morning to to hit the links over at Innsbruck to watch Catherine Densmore of Pickens County take on. She's the only individual qualifier that Pickens had, and of course the team unfortunately fell just a few points short of being qualify as a team in the team event. But I decided to come up here and hang out with you.
What a guy. I mean, Luther Kinsey's a stand-up guy. What can you say?
But
hey, I appreciate it, man. I mean, what can I say?
Well, Okay. Anyway, let's move on from that. I appreciate that.
Oh, not bad. Not bad for a
to,
former official, you know. But
well, you know, football, golf. At least we're here. You know.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm hoping to. If I can't make the links today, I'm definitely going to hit it tomorrow and get some coverage. And of course, there again, I'll be highlighting everything next week. Which, by the way, I understand you will be absent next week.
Yeah, what is next week? I'm
June
not even
4th.
sure. Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Is that next week?
That's next week.
No, that's 2 weeks.
Correction, 2 weeks. I'm trying to run you out before it's time.
Hey, Amanda, do me a favor. Get him going on something else again. I'm just kidding.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Next week I will have you I will have notes for golf and highlight everything to do it.
Sounds like a plan. All right.
It's Monday.
There you go. Thanks, Luther. Again, that's golf. We'll talk more about that next week. We're going to go ahead and take our second break. When we return, we're going to have an in-studio interview with Mr. Kevin White of the Gilmer Recreation and Parks Department, and still plenty more to talk about. Rodeo, a local ARCA racer from Pickens County, and changing the guard, some coaching changes, administrative changes locally in the area. That and much more if we can squeeze in the next 25 minutes. Stay with us.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Better days ahead.
yellow pollen means green cash at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. The spring savings event is on at Days, and the discounts are deep. Now save up to $11,000 off select new 2018 Chevy Silverados, or up to $6,000 off select new 2018 Equinox. Pick any Chevy you want and save a bunch during the spring savings event going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
And welcome back to the Instant Replay. Again, I'm your host, Dave Garner. Got Luther Kinsey with us and Amanda Evans, our producer today behind the glass. And joining us now live in studio is Kevin White, the director of the Gilmer County Recreation and Parks Department. And Kevin, thanks for being with us. You and I go way back. We were just talking about, your son's coming through school, playing ball. I remember, I guess, Austin, your middle son, when he was a youth, qualifying for an Atlanta Hawks.
It was a junior NBA.
Junior NBA.
Basketball talent. So
yeah.
He made it to the had one more leg to where if he'd have won that leg, then he'd have went on to the All-Star game as a guest.
Absolutely, so. man, awesome. But no doubt about it, Kevin has been very involved in the local community in Gilmer County and surrounding areas even for a number of years, and so we're glad to have him on the show this morning. Right now, year-end baseball tournaments, getting ready for some Dizzy Dean All-Stars, I guess. Where you guys are at.
We're hosting the 14s and the 12s out at Clear Creek Park this year, so we're pretty excited about that. It'll be the first time we get to host a tournament for our agency out at the new park, so we're excited.
Absolutely. I know that lately I saw something over the weekend about a Boys and Girls Club road race, I guess, or 5K. I think it was held around the park area. You guys have worked on the walking trail. You've extended it. I think you said putting lights in. Tell us a little bit about that with the new playground and all this stuff, because driving by there, man, I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on, and it looks really good. So tell us about all the upgrades.
We've been real busy. The walking trail got resurfaced last week. Johnson Paving did that for us and done an excellent job. We added about, I think, around 1,100 foot to the other end. So we're right at a mile now.
Awesome.
So, and Georgia Power's coming in, they put LED lights in. They like about probably 14 more poles on the new extension. So it's really coming together. And the playground's been open for probably about 3 weeks now, and it's a hit. It stays covered up all the time.
Absolutely. It's obvious when you drive by, the park, and you see that playground there, and it's awesome. I've seen kids playing and doing all different kinds of stuff. I think it's something definitely needed, and it seems like it's been pretty well received.
Oh yeah,
from the community. So
everybody loves it. We're doing a pavilion down there also, so it'll be about a 20 by 40 pavilion. So it should suit well for birthday parties and stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. And I know in the past, you and I haven't talked too much over the last year or two, but the addition of the park out at Clear Creek, the baseball park, the fields, that seems like it's been a big hit. Obviously, a lot of the games, of course, being played out there now, but man, that's a great facility. What that you guys have out there?
Yeah, pretty much all our games are played out there, except for some of the younger age groups. But the real plus is that with it being a clover leaf, and you've got families out there that's got multiple kids playing. They're not having to go from one end of the park to the other, so they can be right there at that central hub and catch all the games right there. So it really worked out nice.
I remember back in the day when I was covering sports and having to run around with a camera. At the river park, the fields, the way that they're just kind of stacked, you just about needed a golf cart, going up and down. But I love that clover leaf, kind of like that. Seems to kind of be the trend with a lot of rec departments now, is being able to have that one central press box that you can look out in all the different directions.
Yeah, it helps, and it helps as far as maintenance too. It cuts down on the travel of the guys, so it's a great addition to the park.
Here we go. We're talking early in the program about spring football, we're talking about high school stuff, but obviously the future of high school sports lies in the rec department with the youth, and you guys have done a great job with the football program. I think you were telling me last year you guys basically started the MFL, Mountain Football League. Tell us a little bit more about that, because I know now as we kind of wrap up baseball and we're starting to kind of look forward, I know you guys are going to be there before we know it. Talk a little bit about the Mountain Football League.
There was 8 agencies that pulled out of the North Georgia Youth Football League a year ago and started the Mountain Football League. And this year we picked up 2 more, so we've got Lumpkin County and White County that's come on board, so that gives us 10 agencies, and it was a real success last year. For it to be our first season, and it's the parents are having to travel less, and we're able to be just with the the small numbers of having 10 agencies. When we do scheduling, once again, if you got parents that have multiple kids playing,
right,
we can schedule all their games at one location. And not having to split
makes
the parents
sense.
up.
Yeah.
In the past, you'd have one parent going to Pickens County, one parent going to Banks County.
Right.
So we've eliminated all that. It's really worked out for everybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys are doing a lot of great stuff. Looking forward to football season, and I know you still got some baseball to wrap up with the Dizzy Dean All-Stars being able to host the walking trail, the playground. A lot of things going on at the rec department. Anything else going on this summer that you want to let folks know about?
I will tell you that Tammy's special tonight is soup, beans, and cornbread out the ball field. So
there you go. That sounds good.
So everybody come out and join us tonight for some great baseball.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Kevin, we appreciate you being with us right here on the program, man.
Thank
and
you.
Looking forward to seeing the future, the youth going at it as we get closer to football season. A lot of things going on at the Gilmer County Rec Department, and we hope that you guys will check it out. We'll go ahead and take another time out. When we return, the fourth and final quarter segment of our program, we'll talk about the best of the rest. Stay with us.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and LJ, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Back here with the Instant Replay, I'm your host, Dave Garner, joined beside Luther Kinsey right here. I want to thank Kevin White for being our guest in that last segment there. Looking forward to all the things that are going on with all of our local area park and recs, but especially in Gilmer County. Kevin's done a great job, no doubt about that. A lot of things going on locally. And we want to let you guys know there is a way that you can let us know what's going on in your hometown by calling us at 706-889-9700, or you can always email us at teamfynsports@fetchernews.com. Here we are now in our fourth and final quarter segment of the program, and we don't have a lot of time left. We're not even going to get to everything on the rundown, but that's a good thing because we're getting through a lot of our high school sports. But let's take a break from that for just a moment. And a big rodeo on Saturday down at the Sackett's Rodeo down in Jasper. Good video, good picture. I mean, those events always make for some good video, good TV, good everything. You know what I'm saying?
It does. Well, I'll tell you, it was Friday night and Saturday night.
Yep.
Of course, I was able to make it out on Saturday. We had calf ropers, steer wrestlers, saddle bronc, bareback, barrel racing, team ropers, and of course, everybody's favorite, the bulls.
The bulls.
You know, and I will tell you, when you take an average 170, 185 pound man and put him on 2,500 to 3,500 pounds of steak with legs, it gets exciting, hairy, and scary real quick.
It's a recipe for excitement.
I'm
let me tell you.
one thing.
No doubt about that.
But you know, Hollywood Harris was one of the rodeo clowns there.
Right.
And he brought up a very good point.
Yeah.
If you've got a cow laying down, what do you have? Ground beef.
Man, we just keep going downhill.
Well, I had to throw that in.
Yeah.
I'm partial to the rodeo clowns. I go to watch the rodeo clowns.
Oh, they're very entertaining. Those guys are very entertaining. They put their life on the line.
They
too,
really do. They are the bullfighters are the ones that save a lot of lives in rodeo life, in rodeo on stage.
Is there? I think you said you had a video. Is there
I
a video?
do. I actually have some excitement for you.
Okay.
You have some excitement. I think Amanda should have it queued up and ready for us.
Amanda, you ready for the video in there?
Show not around a bull. Watch this man do it. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah. That's right. I'll do you a red solo cup. Let's have a party. I love you, red solo cup.
But I've been to it before several different times, and it's always a lot of fun. And the crowd is always great. There's always a ton of people there, and I know obviously with the weather kind of being iffy, you wonder about that. But it looked like there was a good crowd out there.
It was. We had some lightning in the distance and some rain earlier in the day, but it cleared out. It was just an absolutely beautiful night. I'd say around 72 degrees. The beautiful skyline of the sunset was just amazing. Amanda, I'm not sure if you've pulled it up yet, but will you bring up the picture of the lady on the horse there with the American flag? Yeah, there it is. I'll tell you, that young lady right there is the granddaughter, and I wished I could remember his name, of the world famous trick roper you've seen throughout the years doing the lasso tricks and things like that. Yeah. She also led the opening parade with the American flag.
Wow. It's always a very patriotic event. That's the one thing I've noticed about the rodeo. I mean, it's very red, white, and blue. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it is all American, and I actually learned how the saddle bronc and bareback riding started in rodeo. It's really interesting, and of course I know we've got to get on those things. I just want to mention this real quick. Back in the old Western days, the cowboys unfortunately would be a little intoxicated, but they would go out there with the wild horses and decide to put, kind of their gold pieces or whatever they had, and they would make their bets on who could stay on one of these wild horses the longest.
Wow. Okay.
And that's how that's how that event got started in the rodeo.
Go. Now it's 8 seconds, baby.
Yeah, it is.
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
You got to be sitting there for 8 seconds.
They asked that the other night. And one of the gentlemen says, "You know how long we're supposed to stay on these bulls?" I said, "You're supposed to stay on for 8 seconds." He said, "You think we can do it?" I said, "I'm giving you 2.5 to 3." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because that's the average ride time."
Well, that's about
and it
right.
is about on average in these smaller rodeos. And then when you get into professional PBR or National Finals Rodeo and all that, you have a 6 to 7 second average.
Right.
But in the smaller rodeos, like Southeastern Rodeo Company is the one that provides all the stock and the workers, I guess you would say, for this
Right.
one. The average time is about 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, how about that? That's something. That's awesome. Big rodeo this past weekend down in Jasper, and I want to thank Sackets and all the folks for putting that together once again. ARCA Racing, did you know that we've got a local high school student that is actually a race car driver who has been at it since he was a little kid, has now worked his way up to ARCA, which is basically one step from the big boys, if you will, from NASCAR. Pickens High student Chandler Smith took the pole for Sunday's Menards 200 up in Toledo, Ohio, and would go on to finish 4th in that race. So another top 5 for Chandler, who in his 3 starts has won 3 poles and is not even really running a full-time ARCA schedule, but has done a great job. And so congratulations to Chandler, who continues to move up the ranks. Speaking of taking it to the next level, here's another guy that's doing that. We're going to be able to talk about him. So we think about scholastic sports, we think about high school sports and the football and baseball and so forth, but we also have athletes in our schools who do motocross, who race, whether they're younger and they race quarter midgets all the way up to the bandoleros or even stock or what have you. So we got a lot of other students in our schools that are doing other things as well outside of the traditional high school sports, and so we want to recognize those folks as well. We're going to continue to follow Chandler through the ranks, because he's about a step or two away, if that, from being up there in a NASCAR ride. So again, Chandler taking forth, had some car problems, blew out a tire, a lot of stuff he had to overcome, still finished in the top 5 of the ARCA race up in Toledo over the weekend. So congratulations to Chandler. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is. As a young man, I dreamed of being a NASCAR driver.
Yeah, I thought about it at one time.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's just like any other sport. It's tough to break into it. He's got a lot of support, got a good family. I know them personally, and so again, Chandler, looking forward to seeing big things out of him. Changing of the guards segment before we get out of here tonight. We've got a whole other segment of regional stuff that we're not going to be able to get to today. NBA playoffs are going on. The Atlanta Braves with a huge comeback on Sunday, down 6-0, come back and win 10-9, scoring 6 in the bottom of the ninth to win. A lot of great things that we'll talk about next week. We're also going to dive more into high school football, but our final segment here tonight will be changing of the guard. We do have some coaching changes that we do want to share with you. Zach Odom is the new head baseball coach for Union County. 2000 graduate of Union and a graduate from Young Harris. He will replace Robbie Roxbury, who coached for the last 3 seasons, but Odom was a 4-year starter for the Panthers and part of the 2010-2013 state tournament team. So he's a younger guy, but he's going to do a great job in Union County. Zach Odom, the new coach there. And I'll let you come back around, Luther, and comment on these. Alan Griffin also has resigned as the athletic director of White County. His reasoning is he wants to get back into coaching. So we do wish Coach Griffin all the best there, resigning as the athletic director in White County. And lastly, the Union County Board announced the approval to hire Stephen Mitchell as the new softball coach for the Lady Panthers. Mitchell comes from Bowden High School over in West Georgia. He's got a good tradition over there. He led the Lady Red Devils to a 50-16 record and a 2017 Elite 8 tournament appearance. So again, Mitchell is the new Union County Panthers softball coach. So a lot of changes in Blairsville and Union County, as well as White County. And so again, we're going to continue to keep you updated right here on the Instant Replay, Team FYN Sports, of any of our coaching changes, administrative changes in our local area, but a few more to pass along here today.
Yeah, talking about Zach Odom, he's part of the staff. He joined the staff of the Roxbury last year. Some notes that I read, he was really shocked that he was brought forth. He's wanted to go into head coaching. Mm-hmm. As you read, a very long history. Also, the basketball. He's a 4-year starter for Panther basketball and received all region honors in his senior year. He's born a Panther. He lived a Panther, and now he's going to work as a Panther. And it's amazing. Look forward to seeing what he's got. Union County has a good program, and his number one thing is hustle. He said that's hustle and attitude. That's what he wants to see, and that's what he's going to start working with immediately.
There we go. There we go. Sounds good. And that is our changing of the guard segment, and we appreciate that, and appreciate you guys for tuning in once again on this week's program. And despite what Luther thinks. I will be here next week, or at least I'm planning on it. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. But I will be gone a couple weeks, and then we've got plenty of folks. We've got Luther, and we've got folks to handle it. But next week, we're going to talk a little bit about the state golf, the stuff that we talked about. We'll continue to talk more about spring football practice. We really didn't get a lot into the spring games today because we just didn't have time. We had so much stuff we wanted to share with you guys, and we will be able to do that in the coming weeks, and we'll have plenty of time because really we have all summer now to break down high school football. And let's not forget, I mean, there's softball, there's volleyball. Coach Parks, I think, from Gilmer emailed us her schedule the other day, so we've got that.
August 8th.
August 8th. So we're gonna talk a lot more about not just football, but all fall sports. And of course, we got Kevin White who's going to be joining us. We got our Park and Rec folks who have a lot going on this summer as well. So we're going to be meeting with those guys. We're going to have a very busy summer. I don't think it's going to be anything we're going to have a lack of stuff to talk about at all. But we're honored to be with us. And there's only one thing I can say, man. War Eagle.
As I said, Dave Garner
fan, by the way.
Garner will not be here next week. I'm not trying to run you off. As usual, it's great being on the show with you, and I'm just happy and blessed to be a part of it.
There we go. Thanks. So. What was that, Amanda?
You want to make him mad again?
No, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to make him mad.
Oh, one quick note. You will be here next week, but June 4th will be your first day out. You have other business to attend to, I believe, that day.
Yep.
It is rumored that BKP himself may make an appearance on the sports show.
Wow. Double duty.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Good morning from the office from 8 to 10, and then coming back on here. You know he's going to come on here just to start something with you.
Oh, he is.
I mean, that's the only reason he's coming on here. He wants to fire things up a little bit, but
we can probably handle that.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean I can't. I might be able to call. I mean, who knows? The situation. I might be able to chime in. We'll see. I'll be out of town that day, but
we'd love to hear from you.
We'll see how it goes.
It won't be the same without you.
Yeah. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Luther Kinsey with me right here again with Team FYN Sports. He's the leader of this operation right here, and then of course we've got Amanda Evans behind the glasses, our producer, Sammy Cates, a whole lot of other people behind the scenes as well. Appreciate you guys being on board with us. That's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of the Instant Replay. I'm Dave Garner. We'll see you same time next week right here on the program, and we appreciate you being with us. If it happens in North Georgia, we're all over it as we promote and highlight student athletes in a positive way right here with Team FYN Sports and the Instant Replay. So long, everyone.